Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
it comes to
Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
TexAgs Live.
I feel like I should be listening to the theme song from the Jeffersons. You know, we're moving on up.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
It's been special. The 12th man this past week was unbelievable.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
Buchanan?
Nuño.
One of the things I appreciate about TexAgs.com, the community, it's a think tank, okay?
All right.
You've got different opinions that sometimes maybe I don't agree with, right? But it does make you think. And I'm going to go, yesterday, it was brought to my attention that some folks thought that I was not optimistic enough about the victory over Ole Miss. Okay. Now, while I'll disagree, I understand where they're coming from because I think there are many of us that just want to hear the good. And then there are many of us that just want to hear the bad. What I try to do, just not even try, this is what I do. I tell you how I feel in the moment. That's how I feel. And how I consume the product, how I consume an Aggie basketball game, from the anger of taking bad threes to the jubilation after a game-winning three, right? Like that. When you're listening to this show, and I think you're the same way, we're going to go for a roller coaster ride. Some of it you're going to like, some of it you're not, but it's going to be authentic. Now, one of the things that I laughed at, because it's one of those realizations that I am part of the old community.
Yeah.
I was talking to the interns yesterday. I was like, you know what? I never felt old until I moved back to College Station because everybody here is 20, and I feel like I'm 80, which there's nothing wrong with being 80. But in this post, which was actually some of the stuff I agreed with, was like, you know, sometimes I feel like I'm listening to an old person's podcast, and then somebody replied, "He is old." So the truth is, I've joined the group. I've joined us. AARP, here I come. But the point is, I understand that, but the response to it is, this is just, we're just going to talk about it. Like, that's what we do. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, how we feel, why I think this is not a sustainable product, right? Or, excuse me, to reach in the Final Four Elite Eight, that's not conducive to doing it. That being said, I love the way this team plays basketball from not the offense. Sometimes I don't love the offense, but I love the try-hard mentality that they have, because I can get down with it, and I think many of our listeners can too.
Well, they're relentless, and it's easy to love a team that's relentless, that just does not give up. Excuse me. First of all, I don't mind when someone goes in and disagrees with me.
Yeah.
I will debate. I think people that are really soft if they can't handle someone disagreeing with them. Mm-hmm. But if you can debate and discuss rationally, you know, I think that's great. Right. Because sometimes you change minds, sometimes you don't, sometimes you agree to disagree. I got to admit, I didn't think of anything you said yesterday as being over the top negative. I was hearing the same thing I was seeing on the thread that Luke was doing. There was frustration. You were talking about how early in the game there was frustration, and then there was tantalization.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, now what's happening here? And then there was jubilation.
Yes.
And I need a vacation.
And I think I'm going to do a celebration.
Absolutely, there was celebration.
And a staycation.
Okay.
Sorry, just trying to find Asians.
Here in College Station.
That didn't sound right. You know what I mean. Anyway, there you go. Nice job there. But bottom line, like, I love this basketball team. Like, that you do too. Like, there's something about them that is frustrating and also awesome at the same time.
Yeah. Again, it's that just relentlessness, that never give up. I mean, anybody, they're they're almost like underdogs, even
Yeah.
though they're right. And they just never give up. And anybody who's ever experienced a difficult time in their life but fought through it to be successful can identify with what they're seeing when this team plays.
They're like J.D. Vance?
Hell yeah.
Heck yeah.
And they won.
And they did win. And look, the bottom line is...
I don't think it was as close.
No. I wasn't talking about that.
Oh, okay.
Bottom line is, this team always gives you something to wait on, right? You're always going to be like, hold on. The story's not over. Sometimes it's a bad not over, right? Like you think, oh, here we go. We're up by 12. It's over, baby. And you realize, they shot 9 threes in a row, and now the lead is 2. But there's the opposite side is, you're up by 12 with 6 minutes left. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
this team's going to clamp down defensively.
You ever watch the Family Feud?
Of course.
You ever watch it when one family is like wins the first 3, whatever they call them, stanzas or whatever, and then the last family finally wins the very last one, and everything's doubled, and they win. You're like, wait a minute, this team was in control the whole game, but this team won. That's the Aggies. That'll put them in that lightning round, to win $20,000.
Old guy commentary. Family Feud in the 80s was better than it is now.
Well, yeah, Richard Dawson.
He was good.
Absolutely, yeah.
Except
he's kissing everybody, all the women. And women were lining up to get kissed by Richard Dawson.
That's right. He was a little bit of a womanizer.
He was a player.
Play on. So when it comes to...
he was on Hogan's Heroes, too.
Was that right?
Yeah, he was
right?
Newkirk on Hogan's Heroes. Okay.
Chances I've ever watched that show, 0.
Really? Funny show. Okay, moving on.
All right. So, optimism. You ready for the optimism?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think... Okay, typically when we bring up a column from Saturday Down South, or a commentary, is it positive or negative about the Aggies?
I don't know. I think it's...
50-50?
Yeah, I do.
I'm going to give you a little 50-50.
Okay.
SDS, all right, Saturday Down South. In other words, the Aggies are deeper and more prolific offensively than last year's group, which shot the ball poorly, but was good enough in every other area to nearly upset one-seed Houston in the round of 32. Now, with more scoring help for Taylor across the board, a tenacious rebounding team that can negate the team's shooting flaws, and one of the SEC's best X's and O's coaches in Williams. That's the worst reading I've done. And the Aggies are a bona fide Final Four contender. So this writer from Saturday Down South says, I think it's Matt Norlander, thinks that this team is a Final Four contender. Do you think they're a Final Four contender?
I think they have the ability to be a Final Four contender. But I'm kind of with you. If you're going to... They're a second-half team. Mm-hmm. It's hard to deny that.
And second half of the season...
Usually they have a February surge.
Right.
Imagine if they have 16, 17, 18 wins before February and have a February surge.
Right.
Then they're definitely a Final Four contender because they're probably a top 3 seed. That said, I do kind of agree with the apprehension about how many times can you count on getting behind and making a miraculous rally. Right? Now, start playing a more consistent game, be who you were against Purdue, which, by the way, they still had 18 turnovers against Purdue, but everything else, they were great. And, yeah, when they're playing their game, we just saw them beat a really good Ole Miss team on the road with Wade Taylor struggling.
Not playing their game completely.
Yeah, just play. But look, we get in March, you have to play your best.
Yep.
So if A&M's playing their best, I've said it before, with Wade Taylor and A&M playing their best, they're as good as anybody. Anybody.
Yep. Now, to me, it comes down to a couple things. And this is for every team in the tournament, but it comes down to matchups, right? And the other thing it comes down to is, here's where I'm going to be optimistic. This team at a neutral site venue, like, it's different than going to Ole Miss or going to Austin or going to wherever, right? Like, the NCAA tournament, you're going to go to probably Wichita or Denver or wherever it's going to be.
Denver, please.
Yeah,
not
Wichita.
Wichita.
I mean, just for us, right? But to me, that is, they at a neutral site, their brand of basketball goes well on the road, but sometimes it can be a raucous crowd and a team can play up to it. Neutral site plays, I like A&M's chances if I'm talking about getting to the Final Four. But to get to the Final Four, you've got to stop getting into double-digit deficits.
Yeah. What are they, like 4-1 in neutral sites this year?
Yeah.
Lost to Oregon.
That's the one.
In Vegas.
I think that's the one.
But they beat Rutgers and Creighton.
Was it Syracuse?
Seems like they beat somebody else.
No, yeah.
They beat Texas Tech in Fort Worth.
Right.
And it seems like there was another one, but I'd have to go back and check. But yeah, they've been, to your point, they've been really good on a neutral site.
Neutral site, they're good. And
They're good.
they're good
Most
everywhere.
everywhere, yeah.
It's just sometimes offensively, they fall in love with the long ball early in a shot clock. If there was one thing I would fix, and I'm sure Buzz talks about it, but he also gives them the freedom because he knows that they'll get the rebound. So I understand that. It's just sometimes I'm like, I don't know if I want him shooting that ball from there.
I just want them to make it.
Sounded like
right.
a Muppet there, didn't
Like Elmo.
One of those, yeah.
It's like tickle me Nuño, but not literally. But that's what it sounded like.
Not again.
It sounded
Never
like
doing that again.
The tickle me Nuño doll. I don't want him to tickle me.
Okay, I think we spent all
Even
this
though
time
sometimes he
tickling.
has said some things that
Tickles you.
tickle me. Yeah.
This show's getting weird. Anyway, look, I like the way they play this weekend against Texas. If they play the brand of basketball that we're used to seeing, I think they win comfortably.
Well, they won comfortably last time
Here.
by dominating the second half. What I hope to see is them start fast and maintain. And I hope to see another 20-point win, but I hope it's not that you have to, turn on the gas in the second half. I hope it's just you played a good, strong basketball game start to finish.
Can we run our mouths?
Yeah, let's run them.
3 things we want to see brought to you by the Brazos Running Company, your local Aggie-owned specialty running store where you can find Brooks on Hoka shoes located in Century Square below the Star Cinema Grill in College Station. OB, what are 3 things you want to see?
I want to see a fast start.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see good shooting from the 3-point range. Not just shooting, but good shooting.
Good shooting.
Good shooting for me is
33%?
I would say 36% or better.
Oh, that's really good shooting.
Yeah, and then the rest is it's a lot of things, but all grouped in one. Just do what you're good at, which is getting to the free throw line, playing good defense, offensive rebounding.
I'm going to go realistic here, okay?
Okay.
I've been asking for a Wade Taylor, like one of those y'all must have forgot moments. I don't need that. How about a 16 to 18 point affair, which is a really good game, right?
Yeah.
So that's one thing I want to see. I would like to see no double-digit deficits.
Thank you. Yeah.
And can Pharrell Payne be the second leading scorer?
He was last time.
Right. I want him to get the ball a lot in the paint, and I just want to see that. I'm not saying that I don't want Zurich to have his game, but I'm saying I love when the offense, you have that option to go to Pharrell in the middle, and he's like a prolific scorer is not the right word, but a guy that you can count on.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with you and just say that I would like Pharrell to be the third leading scorer because, quite frankly, I want Pharrell. I mean, not Pharrell. I want Zurich to be, because he's going to shoot more.
Yeah.
Right, and I want to see him make it more at a higher rate.
But if Pharrell's 7 of 9,
I
2
want
free
them all,
throws, 16 points, I mean,
I want
come
them
on.
all 3 of them 15 points or more.
Yeah. Every player on the team, that would be nice.
Well, I'm talking about those 3 in particular, but yeah, I'll take.
And I'm going to add a
15 from
4th thing I
everybody.
want to see.
Mo.
I love Mo. Yeah.
I thought you just you're going to give us Mo.
I'm going to give you Mo. Okay. Mo money, Mo problems. No, I would like to see an Anderson Garcia game where he gives me double-digit rebounds. I want it for me.
Yeah.
The fantasy fan and me of like what I like to see
Prize
stats-wise.
picks.
Yes. More than. I want to go more than with Anderson Garcia.
He's going to go more than.
Yeah, so I'd like to see that. I'd like to see a 10-11 rebound affair from my guy. And I know this year's team is built a little different, so he's not asked to do that kind of dirty work on every play. But I'd like to see it just for me.
Yeah, I'd like to see everybody do their role well.
Yeah.
Hefner comes in, hits 2 or 3 threes. C.J. Wilcher comes in, hits 2 or 3 threes.
I like that.
Mo comes in. He doesn't. Maybe hits 1. don't want it to have to be a buzzer beater to win, but just goes out and is productive and gives you some scoring. Anderson goes out and gets rebounds. All the things. Just do your job well.
9 to 11 rebounds from Anderson. Would you take it right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Well, you said you want double digit.
I do, but
So-
I'll live with 9.
Okay, you can live with 9.
I'll live with 9. I'll live with 6 if they win. I'll live with 2. I don't care. Win, and I'll celebrate. And I won't only talk about the things I didn't like from the game.
Okay.
I like this team.
Yeah, I like it too.
We did talk about them demolishing them in rebounding and hitting their free throws. So there, progress.
I think I also want to see them. I don't know if they can do this, but do the same defensive job they did on, is it Trey Johnson? I can't, I should have looked again. their kid that came in as their leading scorer.
No, not the first. Is it the first one? No,
he may be. But he was averaging like close to 20 points, and they did a heck of a job on him defensively last time. It may be harder to do in Austin.
The name of the show is TexAgs Live.
Mm-hmm.
We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
We are.
Yeah. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio.
We are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're actually in a section of the Rollo Insurance Studio that we call the Holistic Planning Cool Zone.
The Cool Zone, because it's kind of cool over here.
Yeah, and at the Holistic Planning Cool Zone, you can do many things. You can do many things outside of here, but here it's where we start thinking about these things.
If you call the Holistic Planning and want to get in touch with them, they're going to help you with investments. They're going to help you with your taxes, tax time. I got a W-2 form or something like that in the mail the other day, and estate planning. Along with your estate planning, it's going to, as the redheaded lady used to say, circle back to investments where they can help you invest, if you were so inclined, in pro sports.
Invest in prosports.com. Who's the redheaded lady?
She was the press secretary. You say circle back all the time. Remember that? I'm going to circle back to that.
I'm going to circle
back to the investments.
Around the room to say hi to the people. By the way, if you want to be a part of the conversation, you can do it multiple ways. You can call us. You can text us. If you call us, we'll pick it up on the Boss Firearms hotline. That number, 979-693-1150. Text us at that same number as well. Behind the glass is my friend, Nick Savage. Nick, good morning.
Jin Psaki? Is that her name?
Yeah.
Nice. That's a good recall by me.
Circle back.
Yeah.
Circle back girl. She ain't no circle back girl. I would think you would like that. That's right down your alley.
Yeah.
You just coming from me, it's the shocker, right?
Well, let me ask you, why do you think that's my alley?
Because you like that genre of music, do you not?
What's her name? Gwen Stefani?
Yeah.
You think I'm a big Gwen Stefani fan?
I think it probably fits into your...
You think Gwen Stefani's hanging out with Tupac and Biggie and Bad Bunny?
But you are not just limited to that.
No.
I would bet that you would be more likely to listen to Gwen Stefani than I would, because I didn't even know it was Gwen Stefani that sang that song.
Good point. No Doubt back in the day. You didn't listen to No Doubt? You have no doubt you don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I doubt it.
Do you know who she was married to?
The big country guy.
Well, now.
Yeah, I don't know before.
Is it Luke Bryan that she's married to? Or is it the other one?
No. She's Blake Shelton.
The same guy to me. They look like the same guy. From far away, if you close your eyes a little bit, they look the same.
Blake Shelton sings Old Red.
She was married to Gavin Rossdale from
I have
Bush.
no idea who that Bush.
Yeah. Hey now.
Like the beer?
Yes.
Okay.
Former president, Gavin. I think Gavin.
Oh, I thought maybe he was from Bush, like he was part of the Anheuser-Busch company or something.
I don't think so.
Okay,
that's it. Nick, we went on a sidetrack. Anything else you want to provide?
Sorry,
us?
Nick.
Oh, it's okay. I was just going to say, in regards to the game, this Saturday. Sorry, if you remember, in that early second half, Texas kind of made a charge back, but A&M kept them at arm's length. I'll be watching for that again. If A&M can jump out to an early lead and kind of prevent the charge back and just keep them at arm's length. Thank you, Callie, for making fun of me. Yeah. Then I think they'll be in pretty good shape.
All right, appreciate you, Nick. Let's go to the Angry Elephant.
Yeah, let's do.
We're going to introduce you to
the Angry Elephant.
Angry Elephant. Hey, Maria Griglione. I'm sorry, Maria Griglione's with us. Good morning, Maria.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Good. How are y'all?
Well, this is your debut on the show, so I want you to tell people where you're from and how you got the TexAgs.
Hi, everyone. My name is Maria Griglione. I'm a junior telecom major with a sports management minor. I'm from Montgomery, Texas, and I'm really excited to be here.
And what's your heritage?
Italian.
She's Italian, like Lucci.
Who's your favorite favorite team, favorite player?
Oh.
There we go. Favorite Italian, too.
Favorite Italian?
No, I was kidding about that. No.
Oh.
It's Billy Liucci, obviously. But who's your favorite sports team that you follow outside of the Aggies?
Outside of the Astros.
You're a big Astros fan?
Mm-hmm.
Favorite athlete?
Jose Altuve.
Oh, he's awesome.
He's from
Altuve,
Venezuela,
right?
like my mom.
Yeah?
They're from the same hometown.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Well, what's that? What's that hometown?
Maracaibo.
Maracaibo. That's how you say it in Italian.
Well, that's Venezuela.
I know.
So you're the Venezuelan Italian.
Yeah.
Okay.
Both.
Maria, why don't you just help us out of this segment? Get us a text or a news, or didn't women's basketball win last night?
Yes. Women's basketball defeated number 11 Kentucky in a 61-55 win last night. The Aggies went on a run led by Talia Parker, where she hit a three-pointer and 2 more jumpers to tighten the game. Then Aisha Coulibaly scored 5 more points to get A&M leading 46-42 before the Aggies won. And then their next matchup is this Sunday against number 5 LSU in Baton Rouge.
Awesome stuff, Maria. Appreciate you. We'll come back to you here momentarily. All right, OB.
Yes, sir.
¿Tienes hambre?
Sí.
¿Qué quieres comer?
Yo quiero Taco Bell.
For real? I'm going to give you an option to go eat anywhere.
Is that what you said?
I said, where do you want to go eat? Yeah, good job.
I had no idea.
Well.
I don't speak Spanish except when Irma yells at me.
Well, I mean, there's a little. But
no,
I gave you the option to eat anywhere you want today.
Oh, 1775.
Okay, but I need a reason.
A reason? Because it's freaking good. How's that for a reason? I mean, everybody likes Texas barbecue, and this is like the pinnacle of Texas barbecue. You get that great brisket, those amazing pork ribs. You got the sausage, other things too. Like you can get a whole bunch of brisket on a baked potato. That's what Irma had when I took her out there. And then, of course, there's the queso mac and cheese that everybody loves, as well as everything else, and amazing desserts as well.
Yeah, everything they have there is great. In fact, I think we're supposed to go with iDoc Mike soon.
Next week.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to go today, but there's a buzz presser around 1 o'clock or so. I got to double check. So, work comes first, even before 1775. But when you work hard, you can reward yourself by going to 1775.
Bush should have his press conference at 1775. Everybody wins.
You know what? That's a great. Back in the day, coaches often would have a lunch.
Yeah.
Bring that back and do it at 1775. Barcourt, get on it.
1775, txbbq.com. Call them up, 979-492-6241. It is 1775. OB is a big Gwen Stefani fan. Big.
Actually, that's the first time I actually heard the song right
you
there.
just heard people like singing in the hallways?
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, you kind of music, I think.
I mean, I wouldn't turn it off.
Well, you wouldn't turn it on.
I would listen to her husband before I would listen to her.
Okay.
But she's no circle back girl.
Holler back girl.
Oh, holler back.
TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio.
Well, what's a holler back girl anyway?
It's the girl who hollers back at you after you call her.
Then Irma is one, because she hollers at me all the time.
Right? It wasn't just one and done. She called back. And this is the Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. I'm going to just read this chat quickly. Maria, we'll get to you here in a moment. David, I felt your old comment in my soul. I said earlier that I never felt older than since I moved here. She goes, I graduated in 98, moved back in 21, worked on campus, and I felt like I aged 40 years overnight.
I get it. But if you're old, what am I? The crypt keeper?
But you know what? You don't look a day above 75.
At least.
You do not. Like, you look great for, you're 74, right?
For the deceased.
Just kidding. Obi, did you hear this ACC championship idea?
No.
Jim Phillips.
I heard someone talking about it, but I didn't get in on it at the beginning.
I'm gonna read this to you, okay? The plan would be to keep the league's regular season champion on the sideline, watching while teams that finish second and third in the standings play for the quote-unquote title. Whoever wins the regular season, just park them to the side, and you play the second-place team versus the third-place team in your championship game.
What if you have two teams with the same record?
They'll have a tiebreaker, some kind of tiebreaker.
Yeah, say I'm against it.
So you have a regular season champion, then you have a conference tournament or postseason championship.
No.
I don't like it.
I don't like it.
I like that he's thinking, right? Like he's not just going to, all right, we're going to, because there's, and in fact, in the next segment, I do want to kind of get into what we thought of the playoffs overall this year, like just the structure of it and how it could look in the future. But I like that Jim Phillips is thinking. I don't like this idea. I think it's weird. I just do away with the championship games.
I don't like that either.
Okay, what do you like?
I don't know. You know, again, I always thought the perfect situation was actually an 18 playoff, and the conference champions got in automatically. So that made your conference championship even more important instead of what this has done is made it less important.
Yeah, I agree.
But I think if you get to where you're eliminating conference champions, I think you're going somewhere that ultimately you're going to be looking back and wish you didn't go.
Yeah. Let's. I want to dive into that a little bit deeper on the other side. Let's go right now to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. I know we've got a text or two to let the people hear what they're thinking. I don't think I phrased that the way I wanted to, but just let us know what people are thinking.
David from the Pacific Northwest says...
Let me wait. Before you read it, I love David, but he's typically on the negative Nancy side of things. Let's see if this one is.
You were right.
Okay.
Just kidding. We haven't swept TU in 38 years, so I expect a loss tomorrow.
Say negative Nancy. I mean...
It's funny because in the break, I told David Nuño, not David from the Pacific Northwest, obviously, that I'm nervous about this game tomorrow because you are on their court. You have beaten them once already. And as I've said 100 times, there are no bad teams in the SEC. So you got to bring it every single game. And it's hard to win on the road. It's hard to win at all. It's hard to win on the road.
Look, it is going to be very difficult to look great from start to finish. When is the last time, is it the Texas game, that A&M looked really good throughout the entire game?
Purdue.
Yeah, they were there. In Texas, too. They were pretty excellent in Texas.
They were tied at the half, and then they dominated the second half.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought they weren't bad in the first half. I think they scored 30 points in the first half.
Nick, put the schedule up for me if you don't mind. I just want to kind of see if I can reflect. All right. So the Oklahoma game, we all know how that one went.
Yeah.
Alabama, we know, Kentucky as well. Kentucky looked really good. That was the one they looked really good in the first half.
For a while.
And then LSU, that was a bad first half.
Got it going in the second half.
Ole Miss, bad first half. Yeah. So Texas kind of, but you're right, we were tied at the half. But I think it was the last 4 or 5 minutes.
And I don't count like Abilene Christian.
No, those don't count.
You're supposed to. Even though you were down to Southern by like 12 points and came back and destroyed them in the second half. But the last time, at least that I can remember, maybe I'm wrong on that I felt like they played really good start to finish was Purdue.
Yeah.
I think they're okay against Texas, but they can be a lot better than they were in the first half, and they showed it in the second half.
Yeah,
so start to finish.
Start to finish. We're going to hit a break here. We'll come back. I do want to go deeper into some thoughts about this year's playoffs. Just see where your head is at when it comes to it. Right now, a moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell, online at caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. So our Tahoe had to have some work done. We sent it there. It was great, real easy. They actually gave us a loaner car while they were working on the vehicle. It was a fantastic process. When you're looking for customer service done the right way, go to Caldwell Country Chevrolet. And when you are looking to buy a new vehicle, you should consider them because they have they have a lot of great cars on their lot. Like when you go there, you're going to like the selection, you're going to like the customer service and the whole experience from the beginning to middle to the end. They're going to take great care of you. They have free oil changes for life of your new purchase there from Caldwell Country Chevrolet as long as you own that vehicle. And they're a proud supporter of Aggie Athletics. About a 15-minute drive. We're talking about the edge of Bryan to the beginning of Caldwell. Short conversation away. But you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell. Online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com.
What's up, TexAgs? This commercial break is brought to you by my good friends over at Aggieland Chevrolet, the official automotive sponsor of TexAgs.com and me, Billy Liucci. Greg Gunn is the proud owner of Aggieland Chevrolet and invites you to visit the dealership to experience true Aggie hospitality. From their friendly staff to the experienced service team, Aggieland Chevrolet is TexAgs approved. Check out the dealership off of Highway 6 in Bryan or go to AggielandChevrolet.com and tell them Billy Liucci sent you by.
And we're back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Today is Friday, January 24th, 2025. He's Olin Buchanan.
Just 11 more months till Christmas.
Almost here. It's almost time, buddy. But I do think January has gone by so fast.
It really has. You know why I think? I think because you have a good basketball team.
That's part of it. Yeah. I also think the older you get, the faster time goes.
Well, tell me about it.
Yeah, right. So
one foot in the grave and another on a banana peel.
So I went upstairs to get me some TexAgs coffee.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to take an actual sip on the air.
Actually drink the coffee.
Ay, qué rico está esto. Esto está bueno. It's good.
Okay. I'm afraid to respond in Spanish now.
All right, Hollerback girl. Let's give away coffee. What number?
Give some number 12, of course.
Okay. 12th person to text in the word TexAgs coffee. You're going to get yourself a free bag of TexAgs coffee.
All right.
How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Beat the hell out of mornings by going to texags.com/coffee. All right, OB, let's talk a little bit about what we liked about these playoffs, what we didn't like. The thing that I liked, the thing I want to see more of, I want to see more campus games.
Okay, I agree with that 100%.
I like it. Especially, and you're the one who kind of changed my thinking on this. There was a part of me that was looking at it like, if you are rich, okay, and I'm not, you're not, right? Like, if you're rich, going to all these different cities,
no big deal.
But it can be a big deal. But but normal folks, students, and normal folks having to follow their team from Atlanta to here to there gets a little pricey, right?
Yeah.
I like the idea of having a few games that, I don't know what a few is, but maybe the first couple rounds at home stadiums. The thing about that, though, that I find interesting, OB, is how good teams are at home at that level.
Well, then you earn it by getting the higher seed. And, even at home, the local hotels are going to increase their rates by, 3 times as much. But at least you don't have to, in theory, buy plane tickets and things like that. And by the way, so because of that, if the Aggies ever get into the playoff and they're hosting, everybody just stay at my place. All right, so
he actually will allow it.
Just come over,
and my house will not be open.
We were full of what? We were full of Notre Damers the first week, and then we were full of LSU frat boys one week, and then just
You're
had
a great
family.
Host, though, yeah.
Just come on over, everybody. But that's it. Yeah, I've always and it's probably not next year, but the year after, they're probably going to expand the playoff to 14 or 16 teams.
Yep.
And so then you have even more games. So at least make the first 2 rounds at home. So give your college sports never gives a flying flip about their fans. You can't convince me over. They use their fans. They feed off their loyalty like vampires feed off of blood, right? So give them at least a bone by saying, hey, we'll play the first 2 rounds of a playoff at home so we don't continue to just financially handcuff you, right?
Yep.
So at least give them that.
I'd like to see the championship game earlier than January 21st. I don't know how you can do it.
Well, it was earlier this year. It was January 20th.
Sorry. Earlier than the 20th.
Wise guy.
I don't like waiting that long because I think what happens, and I know it's not the first year that they've played deep into January. I guess my point is there's a point where we go from football season to basketball season. There's a point we go from college football to NFL nationally, right? Where you are so invested in the NFL play. I would like to have
get a week earlier.
A week earlier sounds great to me. I know it's not possible, but I like the idea of it being New Year's Eve or New Year's Day.
No, that's not going to happen.
It's not. But I remember back in the day.
Yeah, New Year's Day.
You'd find out who the national champion was or what you thought was going to be because they have to vote on it.
On New Year's Day.
On New Year's Day.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, that's gone.
But let's bring it back.
No, I don't think you're going to have to start playing games in July. And that's not going to happen. Or at least early August. Now, I don't really have a problem with it. I do think that maybe they wait too long between games, but to me, the more college football, the better.
Do you like the Monday night game?
I didn't mind it. I prefer college football is supposed to be played on Saturday.
Yes.
I'd prefer it to be on Saturday.
Me too.
I understand why they're not doing it, but why can't the NFL just, for one day a week, a year, 1 week in a year, just say, okay, you know what? College sports gives us a free farm system.
Yep.
We're not like baseball or basketball where we have to come up with another league and fund it so we can develop players. College football does it. So NFL, since college football does all that for you, can't you give them that one Saturday a year?
Or why not just play freaking a Saturday night championship game?
Because they don't want to go against an NFL game.
Well, NFL...
They don't want to go against an NFL game. So what I'm saying is, if you're going to play a game on Saturday, NFL, make sure you schedule it
during the day.
That it's not conflicting with the championship game. But yes, I do believe that college football should be played on Saturday. By the way, I love the playoff. I know there were those like say Barrett Sallee, for instance, that I'd hear, the whole idea, well, you have all these blowouts now with 4 teams. What's 12 teams going to do? Man, yeah, there were some blowouts. There were some great early Arizona State and Texas, Scatterboo, Clemson and Texas.
Those are really good games.
Yeah, there were some good early games. So I like the idea of that they have this 12-team playoff. It'll probably be 23 someday, 24.
They also need to rework the seeding. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Boise State doesn't need to be the 3 seed. Right? They were the 3, right?
Were they?
3 or 4. They don't need to be the 3 seed.
Yeah, they were 3.
Yeah, they don't need to be. Sorry.
Absolutely.
Just put the 4 best teams, put the conference champions, best teams.
Now, what if Boise State had beaten Oregon? Let's say almost did early in the year. Then would you have a problem with Boise being a 3 seed?
No.
Because if they had beaten...
If they had beaten the number 1 team of the country
the Big Ten champion.
Right?
Yeah,
no.
Okay.
Right? Like, I'm not saying it's a foregone conclusion if you're
What you're saying is you don't get
it's not an automatic.
An automatic, right.
Yeah, it's not an automatic. You got to earn it.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't like that. And there's I saw this. ADs are pushing from the Big Ten and the SEC and the Big Ten because they have this alliance that I don't know if it has a name, but they like each other apparently. It says they're pushing for 4 automatic qualifiers in a 14-team expanded playoff, a 4-4-2-2 model that would assure that the SEC and Big Ten both get at least 4 teams in each of them. The ACC and Big 12, 2 teams each plus a guaranteed spot for a group of 5. So I guess they would be capped at 4 under that scenario.
So that's for when they expand to 14 or 16. Here's what I would do. And a lot of people are going to tell me I'm crazy and this is stupid and they're not going to like it. But if I was in charge of, you're in charge of the Big 12, I'm in charge of the SEC, right?
Big 12?
I'm sorry, Big 10.
Thank you.
We're going to have a meeting and we're going to come up with this idea. We're going to say, you know what? We're breaking away.
We don't need these guys.
We're breaking away from the NCAA for everything. We're starting our own deal. Now, so we're going to say, yeah, we're a different entity and we're going to have our own, we're going to call it the Nuño Buchanan AA.
Okay.
And
AA?
Athletic Association.
Okay.
And so the NBAA. And
I like it.
Yeah, I do too. Actually, I like BNAA better. Buchanan first. But anyway, the point is that's what we're going to have our own national champion. We're going to have our own. Now, here's what we're going to do though. We're going to expand. We're going to send out invitations. Like the SEC may send out an invitation. And if you want to join, if you want to accept our invitation, you're in. You have a chance to win the BNAA championship.
Yeah.
And I'm going to invite Florida State.
Okay.
And I'm going to invite Clemson.
Can we invite some bad teams too? So there's some teams that lose? Okay.
No. I'm going to invite North Carolina.
Okay.
Maybe I'm going to get
West Virginia? No.
Maybe I'm going to get the SEC up to 24 teams. Now, you as the Big Ten might say, you know what? You know who I'm going to invite?
Who am I going to invite?
You're going to invite Notre Dame.
Oh, and Notre Dame's going to be like, in this scenario, I'm in.
And if they're not, you know what? Fine. You go win that national championship.
You go win the Arena League football
care
championship.
About. Exactly. Right. You're going to be playing XFL or USFL while we're playing big boy football.
Yeah.
And that's going to force Notre Dame into a conference.
And then Notre Dame says, we are college football. Pfft, we'll do our own thing.
Fine. Do your own thing. We're not going to schedule you.
Yep. And we're going to schedule games against yours. and we're going to take away some of your audience because we're Notre Dame, we've got NBC, we got it all. So we're going to make our own league in the Big 12, and all of us little small leagues, we're going to dominate the news.
Everybody's, good luck with that. Everybody's going to want to be in the NBAA. And, so think of all the teams.
NBAA has a better. I know you want Buchanan first, but the N is.
It sounds too much like National Basketball Association. So you have to go with BNAA.
Okay. DNAA.
So anyway, that's what I would do. I would expand the SEC and the Big Ten of the teams that are, really big time programs, break away from the NCAA and say, we wish you the best.
Yeah.
But we're our own entity now.
This might be a character flaw of mine, or it might be something good, but I cannot stand non-action. Okay, like for instance, we're trying figuring out different things for my parents, like the next phase, right? Like what they're going to be doing if they're going to move closer to me. So we're figuring it out. I don't like having conversations and then having another conversation and then another.
Yeah,
do something, right? Do something about NIL. Like it's another. We're looking into. How long does it freaking take? Just do something. Do something about the leagues. Do something like it shouldn't take forever to get moving.
It's like the government, if they'd ever hire a president that would actually get in there and actually do something, then maybe we'd have a better country.
I don't know if anybody heard Nick in the background.
That's what I think, anyway.
How did this show become?
No, I'm just talking about doing something.
The View. We're The View.
We're not the
We're The View.
First of all, we're not.
Okay.
I'm too handsome to be on The View.
I got an idea. What'd you say?
I'm too handsome to be on The View.
Clip that.
Put me and Joey Behar next to each other, and I think I win that.
I like the idea.
I like you over Whoopi, too. I think you'd get the vote over Whoopi.
She was good in Ghost.
She was good in Ghost. She was.
Yeah. Jumping Jack Flash?
No. Sister Act, nah.
Oh, I don't do Sister Act.
No. Ghost.
Ghost was good.
Good job. Good job, Ghost.
Patrick Swayze, good.
Good.
Who's the lady in it?
Demi Moore.
Demi
Moore.
Great actress.
Looking great on Landman.
I've only 2 episodes in.
Looking great.
All right, we're going to continue the conversation. When the NBAA happens, the DNBAA happens, right? This mythical...
The OBAA.
With you, it sounds like something else. AA for sure. All right.
Talking about my dad.
Sorry, I didn't mean to bring up some past stories from youth. Anyway, when this happens, I'm going to call Chance McClain up.
Okay.
Like, hey, Chance, Olin's got this awesome idea. He's taken over the SEC, and I kind of got a stake in the Big Ten. We like to tell the story of how this whole thing came together. We're going to get a heritage film done, a documentary on, but we can actually do that about just you, Olin. We could just do a story about your life.
My life. Yeah. You know what? The story of my life would be unbelievable.
It would be unbelievable.
It is. I've had too many weird things happen in my life. They wouldn't believe it.
But I would believe it because I know you. But the audience wouldn't believe it because they don't. Well, I guess they know you too. People who don't know you wouldn't believe it. But they wouldn't care if they didn't know you. That being said, Heritage Films, they make documentary films about families, regular people like Olin, like myself, like my father, like your dad, your uncle.
His dad. What a story.
Awesome story, right? And maybe one day we'll show that. But the bottom line is you can have a story done for your family business, your family ranch. Call Chance up, 713-893-8341, 713-893-8341, or go to yourheritagefilm.com. Everyone, David Nuño here in a moment right now for Snaps Clothing. They are the makers of the only official licensed Texas A&M Pearl Snap shirts. I'm wearing it right now. This is part of their Tailgater collection. It's built for game day. My friend Edgar over there is doing great work. You've got to check out the clothing. It's the Pearl Snaps. It's the cool look. It's kind of hip, but also Western. You'll love it, and they have great stuff there. They'll keep you comfortable as you're repping your Aggie gear, and it's the place to go to get it. Whether you're watching the game from home or tailgating before watching the stands, these shirts have you covered. Head to snapsclothing.com. That is snapsclothing.com to gear up for the season. the theme of this song, I sleep like a baby and I never show up late to work. I love this guy.
Yeah. Well, we need more employees like that, right?
Yeah.
Who don't show up late for work.
I think our people are pretty good.
I guess they are. We've had some moments.
Yeah.
We have some people that show up pretty late. I show up early, but I leave early.
Yeah. Well, but you start early.
But I start early.
Everybody's 8 hours can be done in different ways.
Yeah, I got those late basketball games.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Hey, it's TexAgs Live. You knew that.
I did.
We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It's the Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. We're going to bank on it. Presented by Vera Bank. Authentic relationship-based banking built for real life. Go see Joel Jackson and the team. Learn more at verabank.com. What are you banking on?
I'm banking on Wade Taylor making a comeback and being the Wade Taylor we know he is. We've seen him be outstanding.
Yep.
So, yeah, he struggled a little bit coming back from the injury. I've seen him be too good too often to think that that's going to continue for very long. So I'm banking on Wade Taylor coming to come back strong tonight or tomorrow against Texas.
Okay. I'm going to bank on Pharrell Payne.
Pharrell Payne.
Right? He doesn't have to be the second leading scorer. He could be the first. He could be the second or third.
He banks in a lot of his shots.
I'm going 14-8.
14-8. Take it.
I mean, I'm these rebounds I'm giving this team. Like, I'm giving Anderson at least 9 or more.
They're a good rebounding team.
But that's what. So 14-8 is my 14-8. Yeah, let's just. I was going to change it to 14-6. Let's just go 14-8.
Yeah.
Why not? Right?
That's right. Pharrell Paint.
He's good in the paint.
Dominates there. Pharrell Paint.
Obi, I'm going to have you go overtime. All right?
Oh, I'll be glad to.
John Puglisi had to reschedule, so we'll just keep talking some hoops. I'm sure some old guy jokes are coming up next. It's TexAgs Live,
Get
presented
off
by
my lawn.
David Gardner's Jewelers. And we're back on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. I'm going to have to credit Nick with this. OBOT.
OBOT.
Olin
OB,
Buchanan
the OG.
overtime. You are an OG. OBOT with the OG.
The old guy?
Well, that too. I was going to say original gangster.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's me. I've been a gangster from the beginning.
You're a gangster of love.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good old Bobby Siegs. Hey, let's talk more about this basketball game.
All right.
Because there's a couple things that I think we need to see from A&M that beyond the obvious, right? The obvious is hit your free throws. Hopefully we see better shooting from the field. Let's just say those things are at an average level for A&M. Not
Okay.
below average level for A&M.
Okay.
What else do we need to see? Because we know they're going to dominate the boards is not the right way to phrase it, but they're
going to be successful.
They're going to be
on the board.
successful.
They'll probably have an advantage there.
Probably have an advantage there. Where else will they have the advantage, OB?
Well, they're probably the bench.
Mm-hmm.
They got guys coming off the Farrell Payne comes off the bench. Their turnovers is concerning. Just defense. I think they're going to have a better defensive game, defensive team, but statistically, probably getting to the foul line.
Is there a number that if A&M scores, you think they win? Or is there a number if they hold their team to, like last time they played, obviously they beat them by 20.
Uh-huh.
If you keep Texas to 60 points, do you win that game?
Yes. If you do that again, yes. In fact, I haven't ever looked at this, but let me give a quick look at A&M's schedule. And it seems like when they hold an opponent to under really the less than 70 or less, 70, less than 70, it seems like if they hold an opponent to 70 or less, they're going to win. Sometimes they beat them when, like they beat Creighton 77 to 73, and they beat Rutgers 81 to 77. So they can still win a higher scoring game. But I'm looking at this. They beat Purdue 70 to 66, beat Texas Tech 72 to 67. When they lose, they lost to Oregon 80 to 70. They lost to Alabama 94-88. Lost to Kentucky 81-69. Now UCF's kind of an outlier. That was 64 to 61. They went into that deep freeze late. But so I would say the numbers tell me if you can hold your opponent to 70 or fewer,
you're going to win.
You're going to win. And you know what? You can probably say that for a lot of teams. And that line, if I really looked at it harder, probably even drops to like, say, 66.
Maria, look up for us how many points per game A&M is averaging on the season. Because I'm curious, if you're holding teams to 70 or below, how many points is A&M? I mean, obviously, you've got to score 71. 75.7. Okay. So at 75.7 per game.
You give me 75, and I think A&M is going to win, 90%, 85 to 90% of the games if they score 75 every game.
How many points did they score against Kentucky?
Against Kentucky, 69, I think. Let me look. Okay. Let me find that. 69, 81-69.
And then against Alabama?
Well, Alabama was different. It was 94-88.
Yeah. And that game was played at a... So beyond that, pretty much, if this team get to the 70-ish mark...
Well, let me tell you this. Look, if they scored 75 points, they would have beaten UCF. They've beaten East Texas A&M, Lamar, Ohio State, Southern. Still would have lost to Oregon. Still would have beaten Creighton. Would have lost at 75 points to Rutgers. Still would have beat Wake Forest. Still would have beat Texas Tech. Still would have beat Purdue. It goes on and on. So, 70.
And obviously, we'll take significantly more than 75, but yes.
Yes. Would have lost to Oklahoma. But that was a different thing. Here's another thing. Just prevent that guy that you don't know about or that's not a major factor on your opponent.
Yep.
Like what was that kid's name at Oklahoma that went crazy? The transfer from Fairfield.
Oh, he was,
he went out of his mind. So
Goodine?
Yeah, he was a good
night.
One. Yeah. if you're able to keep the guys that you got to deal with around their average, maybe a little bit below, which
A&M does quite well.
Which A&M does very well. But, I hate that I keep saying, but I hope that there's not somebody for Texas that comes out of nowhere that averages 6 points and comes out with 15.
Yeah. One thing that I do know about this team, though, is typically the best scorer on the opposing team, A&M's going to do a really good job of making their life hard.
They do. I mean, they're a good defensive team. And that doesn't mean that they're great every night, especially when you're playing great offensive teams.
Yep.
It all balances out. But typically, they are a very strong defensive team, and they do a good job with it. And hopefully Texas isn't hitting three-pointers at a high rate, because that's when A&M gets in trouble, is when their opponents hitting the threes at a high rate.
I'm looking at some of these numbers that we have on our stat book, and it says here Texas averages 79.4 points per game, which makes the 60 that they scored at A&M such a significant number. Obviously, 19 points below their average. So they're the 56th ranked team offensively in the country. A&M is 4 points behind them at 75.7. They are 116th in the country, just those 4 points.
Yeah, and you know what, though? That might be a little bit skewed in certain ways. My question would be, what are they averaging in SEC play? A&M held them to 60. They did go out and score 82 against Auburn. That's no small feat. And 70 against Tennessee, 77 against Oklahoma, but was held to 60 again by Florida, and had 61 in a win over Missouri.
So they've won 2 out of their last 3 games.
Mm-hmm. They're not bad.
No.
They're not bad.
They beat Oklahoma.
Yeah.
They lost to Florida. And
a lot of teams are going to lose to Florida.
Most teams are losing to Florida. And then, as you mentioned, they beat Missouri. So
it's going to be a tough game.
And you were right. Trey Johnson is the freshman.
So it's not, A&M won by 20 here. I don't expect A&M to win. I hope they do, but I don't expect A&M to win to 20. I just hope it's one of those games where Texas is in a position and they're hoping to be able to pull one out instead of A&M having to win that way. And I would like to see A&M, we all would like to see A&M come out and play a good, consistent game start to finish and win where you don't have to sweat it out in the last minute.
Here's an interesting stat. 3-point percentage. I thought A&M's 3-point percentage would be lower than this. Not that I'm happy with where they are. As a team, they're shooting 30.3% from the three. I would have expected it to be lower.
Okay.
That is 313th in the country.
Yeah, there's about 350, 351, something like that.
And here's the interesting thing. The teams against A&M are shooting 30.7. So not that much better than what A&M is shooting, which is good for 52nd in the country, percentage-wise.
52nd.
Mm-hmm.
Big difference, though.
Yeah.
A&M is going to give up three-pointers. They know that. They know that what we want you to do is get in that corner and shoot a contested three. That's what they want you to do, and they understand that you're going to make some of them.
Yeah.
What you hope is they just don't make a ridiculous number.
So another thing about Texas is that they give up 35% shooting from the three. They score 36% from the three, but they give up 35%. So
wait. So were you saying that Texas shoots 30 point?
Texas shoots. No, I was talking about A&M. Okay. So A&M, initially I was talking about A&M. I know these are a lot of numbers. Initially I was talking about A&M. I moved it to Texas. Texas shoots 36% from three.
36.
Yes.
Okay.
But they give up 35% from three.
Okay.
So A&M as a team that shoots the ball in the low 30s, 30.2, I think that's what I said.
Mm-hmm.
That 2 or 3, 4, 5% higher makes a huge difference in all these games that you're falling behind in double-digit deficits and also coming down to a possession or two.
Right. When A&M plays so many
one-possession
games, then those stats, you say, what's the big difference for 1 or 2 here or there? Well, that's why, because you play 1 or 2 possession games. So every possession, of course, the importance of it is magnified.
Would you agree that the Texas game felt closer than the 20 points? For maybe 3/4 of the game.
Yeah, for about 3/4. But I do think after that, at one point, I'd have to go back and look at my notes, but obviously when you win by 20, you got into that point where you were starting to dominate it. But you had 3/4 of the game.
I think that Texas game is an example of what we saw in Ole Miss.
Okay.
The jab, the jab comparison that I gave yesterday, right? You start jabbing a team. That's what A&M does.
Mm-hmm.
And they may have a lead, but you start chipping away because they jab so much that now you're kind of woozy at the end of the game. And, that's what allows A&M to go on an 11-2 run. Same thing happened against Texas. A&M obviously offensively sometimes has these droughts in these games, which puts them in a double-digit deficit or allows teams to stay close. But that jab led to a right hook. Again, I'm going boxing on you.
Yeah, I like boxing.
And that put Texas down for the count the last 10 minutes of that game.
Look, I just went on the SEC Sports website and look at just in conference games, Texas in conference games against similar competition. If I'm reading this right, is 13th in the SEC in 3-point percentage at .276 in conference games. A&M is 14th at .264.
Okay.
In conference games. So, an opponent 3-point percentage, Texas opponents in conference play are hitting 306, A&M 343. So, stats. You know what? None of it matters when you start playing.
No. Look, if you get a semi-normal Wade Taylor, I'm not worried.
Wade is going to play his way back into his typical form.
Yep.
I hope it's sooner rather than later. So I hope it's tomorrow.
Yeah.
At 1:30.
Yep. I don't love that it's another road game after another road game and another road game after a late
an
win.
8 o'clock road game followed by a 1:30 road game.
Yeah.
SEC never does A&M any favors. It seems like. I don't mean to be, whining about that, but it is kind of odd.
I should know the answer to this. I don't know how they do the scheduling. Do they put it into an algorithm and it spits it out? Or does somebody actually think, well, they do got to travel, they got to do this, and they're going to play late here?
I have to believe it's all computerized somehow and spits it out.
They should have a TLC person to kind of look at it and go through it. Each team have an advocate.
A TLC person?
Yeah, 10 or 11 care. Look at this.
I was going to say, is that left eye? Like left eye?
Yeah.
Does that surprise you too?
Yeah, I'm a little surprised.
Was she?
I'm surprised
was she TLC?
Yeah, she was.
She burned down Andre Rison's house.
She did.
Wow.
I don't know if she's still with us.
No, she's not.
Okay. But you know what I'm surprised by?
What?
Your pop culture from 30 years ago, by the way. This is 30 years ago pop culture, but your ability to do pop culture from 30 years ago.
I can remember things that happened 30 years ago and forget things that happened 30 minutes ago.
Same. We couldn't remember Shay Johnson's name 5 seconds ago, right? We just played him, right? Anyway, let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. I know we've got some commentary.
I remember her name.
What is it?
Caglioni.
See, it's my fault. I do things with people's names, so it becomes like a thing, the Torniak. I call her. She's like, stop calling me the Torniak. But it just Griglione. But no, Maria. Hello. Greetings to you.
Hello.
What do you have for us?
Back to our friend David from earlier.
In the PNW?
Yeah, in the PNW.
Yeah.
He says, the problem with just do something is that in many cases, no solution is far better than government intervention.
This goes back to when I think it was me who said it, just do something about changes in college athletics. Stop talking about it. Start doing something, all right?
Do it.
And his response was what again?
He sounds like
no solution is far better than government intervention.
No solution. I would think almost any solution is better than government intervention. The NCAA wanted the government to solve their problem. It just got worse.
Right.
So
look.
Hey, by the way, when I was talking about the president doing something, I was talking about that guy from Argentina, by the way.
You like that guy?
I like that guy. He could do something with his hair.
Javier Milei?
Yeah, he could do something with his hair. But other than that, great job, Argentina.
The no spin zone here on TexAgs Live. Anyway, where were we? Sorry, I'm all over the place.
We'll do it live.
What I think we have to do, somebody has to be appointed the czar of college athletics, not the NCAA.
And who do you want it to be?
The easy answer is Sankey, but I don't know if I want it to be Sankey. I don't know.
I don't.
I don't know who I want it to
Don't
be.
trust him.
But somebody, Oliver Luck.
That would be good.
I know Oliver. That's the only reason.
He'd be good.
Oliver Luck. Somebody
brilliant man to know sports that actually played.
Who's run businesses, dude, I actually like the Big 12 guy. Why does his name escape me right now? I'm not saying that him
Because he's in the Big 12 and nobody pays attention.
Yeah, that's true. But I like innovation. I like people thinking differently.
Then you should like the ACC guy.
Jim Phillips? I just didn't like that idea.
Yeah, it's a bad idea, but he's at least.
Brett Yormark. Thank you. Brett Yormark. So but we may not know who that person is, but somebody who's going to be like, guys, we're making this too hard. Do this, this, and this. College athletics has evolved every 3 years anyway. So if the plan doesn't work, they'll evolve again. But somebody needs to put some direction. Yeah.
I agree. The first thing they need to do even before that is they need to make all the officials under one group. Like, you don't have SEC officials, you don't have Big Ten officials, you don't have Big 12 officials, you have national officials, and everybody is being told this is how we're going to call a game. So when you have interdivision game or interconference games, what is maybe considered targeting in the SEC and is not in the Big Ten, you don't have that discrepancy.
I have a buddy who's a college football referee. I'd like to get his take on that because we always hear, we got ACC refs, or this is the SEC. Yeah, you're right. Like, why not a national kind of group that all follow the same rules?
Why not? I mean, the rules are are obviously the same, but they don't enforce them the same. Yeah.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Maria, what else do you have for us?
So tomorrow, or maybe it's today at 1 p.m., women's tennis has a match against the University of South Florida. And then this weekend, track and field are competing here in the Ted Nelson Invitational.
Yeah.
Ted Nelson, good dude.
Yep.
I liked him. I liked working with him. Track and field, it's always good. I actually like track and field. And, in the tennis, that's a Dreamweaver,
God, Dreamweaver.
Are they on their way toward another national championship?
I hope so. They're really good. And also Steve Denton on the men's side, awesome guy too.
A&M should be good in everything. And they're good in tennis. They're good in track and field.
Yeah. OB, final thoughts about the basketball game this weekend?
Like I said, if you think it's going to be a 20-point win again, you're probably barking up the old proverbial wrong tree. I think it's going to be difficult, and I understand David in the Pacific Northwest apprehension. I do think A&M is a better basketball team, and I would expect them to prevail. Hopefully, they don't have to rally from a double-digit deficit. Hopefully, they can win in such a way that our stress levels aren't as great. But don't count on it.
OB, I think we are fortunate that our career and just our lives have taken us to different markets to where we see fans are all the same under a different circumstance, right? The way an Alabama fan maybe reacts is different than an A&M fan based on their recent history. But at the end of the day, you've got the overreactors, the underreactors, the Kool-Aid guys, the non-Kool-Aid guys, the P&Ws, David, who sees things more from a negative light. That's every fan base.
Mm-hmm. It is.
At the end of the day, did it get a little brighter in here? That's weird. At the end of the day, believe in your team, notice the flaws, and hope that they fix it.
Yes, all those things are true, and A&M has their fans that are on the ledge, quit too soon, and then those that think everything's always going to be okay no matter what, but they've never had a fan that poisoned anybody's trees.
No, this is true.
Or burned up anybody's house.
This is what I love and hate about doing the post-game wrap.
Really?
The post-game wrap, this is what I don't love. What I love about it is you're getting raw emotion after a game, how I feel in that moment.
Yeah.
What I don't love about it is you're getting raw, because there is something that distance and time gives you a little perspective after you've marinated it and okay, it's not always as great. It's always it is something in the middle, just like the A&M victory over Ole Miss in basketball, right?
I wish we had a call-in show the TexAgs, where you get call-in podcasts where people are calling in or Skyping in or whatever they call it now. I'm sorry, Skype.
Zoom?
I know it's zooming in.
Yeah.
And we got to see the fans, the drunk fans, post-game reaction, good or bad.
Yeah.
I wish we had that because I enjoy the euphoria, and I enjoy the anger of reactions to see just how, like you said, the raw emotion.
OB, thank you, buddy. Enjoy your weekend.
All right.
All right, we'll hit a break. We'll come back. Open segment, then Luke Evangelist, more basketball chat with him. Right now, Milliken Reserve, farm-to-table community in College Station. They got homes, they got trails, they got farms, they got wide open spaces, and they have a mission to build a healthy community around nature, and they've done so by dedicating their time to creating a sanctuary for family, for nature, and for community. They have 26 acres of open space, farms, and trails, an awesome place to go with your family and just connecting with each other and with nature. You can go hiking there, biking, canoeing, kayaking. They've got equestrian trails. They've got evening yoga. They've got summer camps, music festivals, farmer markets, and farm tours. An awesome place to just grow and be together. The website to learn all about it is millikenreserve.com. That is millikenreserve.com. All right, we are back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are in the Rollo Insurance Studio. As a reminder, the final segment of the program is brought to you by Double Dave's. That is at 10:50. But right now, caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been around since 1984, serving Aggieland in that time. And they have your favorite pizza and, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com and your favorites are on their way. It is now time for Around Aggieland, presented by Normandy State Bank. Normandy State Bank, rock solid banking. The website is normandstatebank.com. And with that, we have Kay Naegeli.
Well, we don't necessarily have a busy weekend in Aggieland particular, but we do have two teams heading on the road. So men's basketball, we all watch Manny Obaski drill a three-pointer to basically send Ole Miss home, if you will. That was a road game, but that was an awesome one for Buzz Williams and co. To steal another Quadrant 1 opportunity is ahead for A&M as they will face their first mirror opponent, in-state rival Texas. That is in Austin on Saturday. That is a 1:30 p.m. tip. Make sure to turn that on ESPN 2, I believe. Women's basketball, we got to talk about this program with the fewest points allowed against a ranked opponent since the 2020-2021 season. Joni Taylor's Aggies snapped the Wildcats' 9-game winning streak and upset number 11 Kentucky last night. It was a great win. Aisha Coulibaly poured in 21 points to the effort. They were the nation's best blocking team entering the contest. They had 0 blocks last night, and A&M posted 6. Lauren Ware just absolutely went off in the paint. And then now the Aggies will travel to number 5 LSU. That should be a big one. Kim Mulkey's squad is also taking on South Carolina later today. Should be an interesting to watch that,
Hey,
but all around great effort from those Aggies.
Kate, remind me, I feel like I know it's no reminder needed, but I don't remember who it was, but they beat another really good team a couple weeks back. Do you remember who that was?
Ole Miss, they were ranked top 15 somewhere in there.
And what was Kentucky ranked?
Number 11. So that was 2 top 25 wins. That was also, Ole Miss win was the first ever ranked win in Joni Taylor era. Now she has 2.
That's great, yeah.
She is getting that program on the right track. They only have 10 players available to play, so they were playing a lot of minutes. AC has just been an absolute rock for them offensively, so it's great to see them having some progress.
Ole Miss number 25, according to
Number
Nick.
25, yep, 2 top-ranked teams. Moving over to the football front, I know Billy Liucci will have a lot on this later, but Mike Elko and Texas A&M added James Madison's Lyle Hemphill to join the Fightin' Texas Aggies staff in 2022 and 2023. He was on Elko's staff in Durham at Duke, and then he comes to Aggieland after 1 season as defensive coordinator at James Madison. On the Diamond Sports front, we are just 21 days away from Fightin' Texas Aggie baseball.
Yes.
And 13 days away from Fightin' Texas Aggie softball, 2 programs. They're very highly talented. Baseball number 1, softball number 7. We are very excited to get those teams going. And then on the tennis front, Mark Weaver's Aggies and Steve Denton's Aggies will both face UCF today. They both will be at the Mitchell Tennis Center at 1 p.m. if you want to go pull up to that in Aggieland. And then last but not least, the track and field team will host the Ted Nelson Invitational. That is also going on in Aggieland this weekend. They return home following a standout showing at the Corky Classic and at Texas Tech. The team recorded a trio of school records, claimed 4 event titles, another top 3 top 12 marks in program history, and secured 10 PR performances. So all around great week for Aggies.
Great job, KK. Thank you very much.
Of course.
All right, before we hit a break, we're going to have Luke Evangelist here in a moment. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Maria Griglione, what do you have?
Here's a fun one from Bart in Austin.
Bart, what's up?
He says, I live in Austin. Should I go to the game tomorrow?
Bart, with all due respect, what kind of question is that? Yes, of course you should go, right? Like, let's get every Aggie possible there. Why wouldn't we? Yes, so Bart, if you have the means to get there, you've got the income, go ahead and buy a bunch of Aggie tickets. Yes, absolutely.
And then David, not PNW David, this is David in Temple. He says,
David, DT.
He says, Saban as commissioner, no early arrivals, no long showers, no fun, but you get college football decisions.
Let me ask the audience that. What do you guys think about Nick Saban as the commissioner czar of college football? Some people would say Josh Pate, by the way. Might have some news about Josh Pate here soon. But that being said, I do think Saban, I might be wrong, but I do think Saban cares about college football, the sport, Yes, he loves Alabama, but I do think college football, the sport he does care about, and that's where some of his decisions are. So yeah, I'd be down with Nick Saban. I think he'd figure it out. Good stuff there. Thank you very much. We're going to hit a break. When we come back, Luke Evangelist, 2 times in a week? It's basketball season, so we get to talk to Lukey. If you're looking for a reason to move back to Aggieland and you need a gig, you might want to consider looking at the Association of Former Students. They typically have a lot of openings in many different departments like fundraising, marketing, sales, communications. And if you're trying to relocate to Aggieland, they would be a great resource for you to look at and see what kind of opportunities that they have, because they have so many different positions available. And they also are the premier alumni association and the oldest organization supporting A&M in support of that Aggie network. They play a part in every Aggie story from Howdy to here. Don't miss an opportunity to help out the association with Howdy Socials and Aggie Ring Day, class reunions, Aggie Muster, and everything in between. Join a team that exemplifies those Aggie core values of excellence, integrity, leadership, loyalty, respect, and selfless service, all in support of that worldwide Aggie network. So if you're interested in joining a team or sharing with someone who would be a great fit, please visit tx.ag/association jobs to apply and get more information on each position. It is the Association of Former Students. We're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Garner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is our number 2 of the program, Luke Evangelist. Luke, you need to turn on your pack and not look at your phone when we're in the middle of a segment. Like, what is this? What are you, like OB and Billy, just like big time now?
Hello. You can hear me?
I barely.
Okay, perfect.
Good morning, buddy.
Good morning.
So I want to play a game with you, okay?
Yep.
I want to tell you a TexAgs personality, and you tell me if they come across optimistic or pessimistic.
In general?
In Aggie sports.
Yeah.
Okay? Olin Buchanan.
He's real, but I would say he can be positive.
Okay. David Nuño.
Negative.
For real, is that what you think?
Yeah.
Okay. Billy Liucci.
Positive, but he keeps it real too.
Okay. So I don't keep it real and I'm negative.
No, you keep it real, but you're always like, you're like a doomsday prepper. You're always like preparing for
I am
the
definitely
worst.
a doomsday prepper, by the way, yeah.
Bronny, negative.
Bronny's negative?
Yeah.
Nick.
He can be both. He has his sports where he's positive and his sports where he's negative.
Okay. Who am I missing here? Kay Naegeli.
Positive.
Yeah.
She's on that Joni Taylor hype train.
Who can't be after that performance? Okay. And yourself?
Always positive.
You are Mr. Positivity. So,
which is why I feel great about this game.
The beauty about this game coming against Texas. The beauty is I'm glad I have receipts because I believe you and I are exactly the same.
Right. Let's hear it.
Because during the game, weren't we texting back and forth?
Yeah, we were.
I won't
texting
tell the
back
people
and
what
forth.
you were saying. I'll tell the people what I was saying.
Yeah.
Okay? What I was saying is the same thing I said on the air, was that the shooting of this team drives me crazy. And all that being said, that's in the moment. But they also have a magical way of making the other team start to shoot poorly eventually. And I think that is, you can be somewhat pessimistic in a game because you're like, come on, guys, you can't keep taking this shot. And then it all magically works.
Yeah.
So I try to keep it real. This team, I think, is as good as we advertised them to be in the preseason with the flaws that we saw in the Central Florida game. We still see some of those same flaws.
Yeah.
And the resiliency that we saw in Oklahoma and many other times, we keep seeing it. This is who they are.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, early in the season, it's like they were losing games and there was still stuff to be worked on. And now they're winning games and it's like, okay, Wade Taylor had 4 points and they still beat an Ole Miss team that is going to make the tournament and is going to be a top 8 team in the SEC. It was a quad 1A win. Like, they're beating LSU, but you're like, they played horrible. The offense was out of sync, but they're still winning games in a league where it's really tough to win games. But it's just not sustainable to continue to play at this level in this league. Someone's going to beat you, especially when you go on the road. But the thing with this team is they're just like 1 or 2 moments of clicking away from being back to where they were. When this team was mid-December playing Texas Tech and Purdue, they could have beaten any team in the country. And they're just 1 or 2 moments away from that clicking again.
What is different from what you just said than I say? Because I feel like it's the exact same message. Maybe I say it with a growl and you say it with a smile. But isn't that the same thing as what I'm saying?
It's the exact same thing. But that's why it's frustrating because you know this team is so much better than the product they give you. But then it's like, how can I complain when
the product is awesome
the product was awesome, but for the first 30 minutes, it was a tough watch. But they just wear teams down to the point where the opposing fans are like, what? They don't even recognize their own team. Like, Ole Miss fans had to be saying, what am I watching in these last 8 minutes? This is not the Ole Miss team I just saw.
So you know I love David Goggins, right? You've heard me talk about him.
Who's going to carry the boats.
Who's going to carry the boats. And he's got this thing about taking somebody's soul.
Right.
Have you ever heard him talk about taking somebody? Because I feel like A&M is the perfect microcosm for taking somebody's soul. What taking somebody's soul is, here's an example. You're running a 100-miler like David Goggins does, and somebody's ahead of you, and they're running the race of their life, and David looks like he's struggling. And all of a sudden, he just turns it on, and he runs by him, and he smiles, and he keeps running, and he keeps running, and he breaks your soul because you think you got him. This is what teams think they do to A&M. They think they got you. Oh, they're missing shots. They got turnovers. They're missing free throws. I got them. And then all of a sudden, they go on an 11-2 run. And now you know, like, oh, shoot, they're a three-point shot away from beating us. Yeah. And what do? They take your soul and they hit that three-point shot. That's A&M to me.
Yeah, it's almost like you're absolutely right. They are taking the other team's soul. I need someone in the back to look this up for me because I don't know if LSU played on this week or whatever, but before that, A&M's last 7 opponents all lost their last game after playing A&M. That, to me, like, no matter what level of basketball you're looking at, once it hits like 3 or 4, it's a significant trend.
Yeah.
Like, A&M is beating teams, and it's taking some time for teams to recover after losing to A&M. Like, look at what happened with Texas. They're 2-4 in SEC play. It took some time for them to get back to the level that they think they're at right now. They're a much better team than when A&M played them, but it takes some time to recover after playing A&M.
The mood in this room would obviously be way worse had they lost the Ole Miss game.
Yep.
That being said, I still think we'd be talking about how resilient this team is because without that three-point shot, the fact that it was a game with 20 turnovers and Wade shooting horribly in the game, Zurich not being as efficient as we'd like to see, the fact that it's a game and the fact that others can step up when we don't forget about Manny Obaski.
Right.
But you sometimes forget we hold on to what he did at the end of the last year's SEC play, and then like you're still waiting for it, so you're not surprised by it. And then when you need it, it happens.
Yeah. I mean, I think we can't be looking. Sometimes people get caught looking at the result and not like the process. Manny missing or making that shot doesn't change the fact that they came all the way back when they had no chance. Like when you're up 8 with 2 minutes left, Ole Miss just needs a stop and to get fouled, and they're going to mathematically win the game. A&M forces a steal. They obviously had fouls to give, but I think with Manny, him hitting or missing that shot doesn't change the fact that he also had 9 points in the second half and was a reason why they were back in that game. Like every single player played a huge role in them getting back in it. And for us to be like, okay, Pharrell Payne has 0 points at halftime. If they can just get him involved, like it's a completely different game. So A&M is always just one run away. They're always just one player getting hot away from being in a game, or hopefully you'd like to see them have the lead for most of the game.
Have you ever asked Buzz, or have you heard the question asked about some of the threes that are taken early in the shot clock? Because I've never directly asked him, and I get him on the show every Monday. I should directly ask him. I don't know how to ask it nicely. Like I'll ask it nicely, but because I'm almost like, why is it a thing for me when you look at the teams that they're playing? They're all shooting low from 3-point. Like it's kind of where basketball is as opposed to where A&M is.
Yeah, well, the thing with A&M is the people who are taking those shots have the green light. You have to live with Wade Taylor taking a shot in the first 5 seconds. The problem is when it happens for like 6 straight possessions.
Yeah.
That's where this team gets in trouble. If Wade Taylor makes the shot, everyone's going to be like, okay, that was a great shot. Early in the shot clock, he surprised the other team. But when he misses, it's a bad shot.
I don't like it on a break.
I don't like it either, but there are some moments where, like,
isolated moments.
It's isolated moments. It can happen once or twice, but when it happens, your first 3 minutes of the second half, that is not good basketball. Now, when A&M is making a run, like this happened so many times last year, A&M is on like a 7-0 run, and they get a turnover, and it's Wade Taylor in transition. Absolutely take that shot, because if you make it, it's a dagger. The other team's defeated. They're calling a timeout, but to start a half or to start a possession where you're not, why is my phone just crazy?
You've got 77 texts in 3.2 seconds.
When that happens multiple times in a row, it's not good basketball.
No, but again, I also think like, I do this for a living, right? So I give you my stream of conscious, but we're all having similar thoughts during the game.
Oh, 100%.
But A&M basketball of any other team on this campus or in this country is like one of those, wait for the finished product of the game.
Yeah.
Because things may not be clicking here. And look, there might be a game when they shoot like that where they're not able to come back, right? Yeah. That's where I think I worry is like in a tournament setting. I start looking ahead as opposed to looking for the right now. The right now is, what are they, 4-2, in SEC play. And I think they're going to be favored in their next few games, right? So you have an opportunity to get, this team could, and I almost say should, win at least 12 games in conference play. 11.
I'm still at 10 to 11 is where I feel comfortable with this team, because even when A&M plays great, you can get beat in this league. That is the beauty of the SEC. Anybody can beat anybody. And when A&M plays poorly, they can get beat. When A&M plays poorly, they can beat teams. When A&M plays great, they can win and they can lose. Like, That's just the reality of the league. So I agree with you. You're almost kind of waiting for that game. Kentucky was a little bit of it where you're waiting for them to make that run, but they just don't have the firepower to make that run. And you're absolutely right. When it's a one-game season and everything is riding on this one game, who knows if A&M, if it's sustainable game after game in March Madness to get down by 10 and have to fight your way back. It's just not, it's okay for right now. It is what it is in the SEC. Teams are going to force you out of your game, and A&M got back in their game against Ole Miss. But in a tournament setting, you have to worry about, is it sustainable to always have to be clawing back?
Well, this is where I have optimism and empathy at the same time, right? The empathy for the players that struggled. Wade's only a couple games back.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to take time for him, and we don't know how 100% he is, like what he is on the scale. Zurich was ill.
Yeah.
Right? So you got your two primary scorers not only having a bad night, but coming back from situations or in the middle of situations, right? Navigating through that. There's going to be a day, and it might be in Austin this weekend, where Wade, I'm not talking about a 30-point Wade, I'm just saying a 16-point Wade, 6 assists, like a game that we're used to seeing, and Zurich, second leading scorer, and Farrell double. Like, there's going to be that game.
Yeah.
Because that's who they are. That's not who I want them to be. That's who they have been for their career.
Yeah, statistically, you can't keep Wade down forever. Like, what did he have that streak of 25-plus games last year of double digits? Like, him scoring 4 points is a statistical anomaly. The thing with this team is, for everything we've said about how we don't feel good about, how it's not sustainable, we've seen them at their best. And even when they beat Purdue, like, there were still flaws in their game.
Yeah.
Even when they beat Texas Tech, there's flaws in their game.
Hey, they're sustaining. It may not be sustainable, but they're sustaining.
Exactly. So when this team puts it all together, and you have to feel good about it, because typically we're a couple weeks away from this team fully becoming their true self and making that late season run. So the fact that they're playing this well and beating teams now like this when they play horribly is a great result. The fact that they have 4 wins in SEC play right now is great. Winning 4 out of 6 in this league is tough. It's a great feeling to know that there's still room for improvement.
I want you to do a homework assignment during the break.
Yeah.
I want you to look up from 21 on when they got hot. Like when.
Yeah.
So the 8-game win streak in the 21-22 season. And
they were hot all 2 years ago.
All right. So but when it starts.
Yeah.
And I want to kind of compare it to where we are on the calendar to kind of give people some optimism. Right now we're talking Bird Dog, Aggie-owned company creating access to hunting opportunities. If you love to hunt, let Bird Dog find the hunting experience for you. They're Airbnb for hunters and also for the landowners, a great way to get hunters on your land and make money on your land. But they're going to find other ways to make money on your land because they are helping optimize tax benefits. So there's a lot of things you don't think about. They'll think about it for you, and they're going to help you make some money there because they know all about the exemptions that are out there. So if you're farming or running cattle on your land, Bird Dog's going to optimize it and find you those tax benefits. Many of their clients are making an extra $100 to $500 per acre. So imagine that. So if you're a ranch broker, you need to talk to them as they can help your buyer or seller understand the additional ways to make money. You don't have to sell hunts with this program. Remember, Bird Dog, for all of your full-service hunting experiences and for your landowners, let them make money for you on your ranch. The website, birddogit.com, birddogit.com. Got a minute left here. I got Luke Evangelist in studio. Just talk about how this team turns it on at the end of the season. Talk about the A&M basketball team, men's basketball team. We went through some of the hot streaks over the last few years because we've always told you, because it happens, that they're better. It comes to a point where they get better at the end of the season. So we went through the times. In 2024, they turned it on March 2nd. So a little bit later than we had seen the year prior, but they got hot. 2023, they were so good in SEC play, hard to kind of tell you a when, but they won 8 out of their last 9 games, right? 2022, they lost 8 straight games, and I was like wondering, I literally went with the schedule with OB on the show. When are they going to win again? After that, they won 5 of 6, 3 in the tourney, and 4 games in the NIT. So they finished that season 12-3 in the last 15 games. So basically, middle of February, ballparkish is when this team turns it on.
And with the time I have left, with the 6 games that are coming up on this schedule, it's their most favorable part because they have 3 quad 2 games. This is the time to get hot.
Yeah, because the end of the schedule
is brutal.
Yeah.
You have 4 of the best teams in the country.
Right. So you start off with a brutal, you end with a brutal.
Yep.
Luke, great job, buddy.
Thank you.
Appreciate you very much. When we come back on TexAgs Live, it'll be me. I think it'll be Billy. It'll be you. It'll be a lot of fun. Optimistic Nuño here on TexAgs Live. The best in A&M basketball. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Look, this basketball team should give you a lot to be excited about. And also you have some questions. I get it. And if they continue to play their brand of basketball, which they will, I shouldn't even say if, when they continue to play their brand of basketball with a healthier Wade, I think a lot of the shooting woes will go away. Like, Wade just hasn't been himself yet. And it's coming. And maybe Saturday against Texas, it may be a little bit later. If you want to be a part of the conversation, you can do it. You can call us up at 979-693-1150, or you can text that same number, 979-693-1150. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Maria Griglione. Maria, what do you have for us?
Well, in regards to the Longhorns and stuff, TAMU Ice Hockey is traveling today to play in Austin, but tomorrow they are coming back playing at Spirit Ice Arena at 7 p.m. against UT.
So it's a home and home? Is that what I'm understanding? They're going to play in Austin today, and then tomorrow the Austinites will be here?
Yes.
Okay.
They're coming here tomorrow, and they're doing a thing where if you bring a teddy bear after the first goal, you can throw it on the ice, and they're going to donate it.
Oh, okay.
I forgot what it was, but I think that's really fun.
That's a cool thing.
Yeah.
What else do you have for us? What's the chat like on the YouTube page? McKinley Polanski used to work here, is on there. And Chris says he's going to be in Austin this weekend for the Lone Star Showdown, or he says all eyes will be on there. And then Pete Carroll to the Raiders. I don't know how I feel about that. I am not as down as Olin is on Pete Carroll. I kind of like Pete Carroll. I 1,000% agree that was coaching malpractice. What happened in the Super Bowl, what was that? I don't remember what Super Bowl it was, many years ago with Marshawn Lynch. You just give him the freaking ball. Don't throw it in, But that being said, I kind of like the idea. He's older. I don't know if it's going to, but he's got a young spirit to him. I like the idea of Pete Carroll being the guy. Like, I just, the Raiders have just been so mismanaged, and they've had talent. I mean, I thought Antonio Pierce was going to be great, but I like the idea of Pete Carroll. But I think Pete Carroll, his style takes a little while, right? It's going to take 2 or 3 years, and will the Raiders be willing to wait and let things materialize the way he wants? But I think he's a Hall of Fame coach, right? There's no doubt that Pete Carroll's... Nick, am I wrong here? Is Pete Carroll a Hall of Fame coach? I feel like he has to be, right?
Yeah, Matthew Dawson says yes, so that tells me all I need to know, right?
He won a what do you call it? A Super Bowl. He won a college football national championship. Couple. No, did he win 1 or 2? He won 2? 2, is it? He lost to Texas, obviously.
I think just one, but I could
one.
be wrong.
Okay, so he's won in both. And I know that some people try to take one away from him because of the whole scandal, but he's absolutely, and the success he had at Seattle beyond that first Super Bowl, the same success, I think, is every indication that guy is a Hall of Fame coach. Like, there's no doubt in my mind he's a Hall of Fame coach. Like, I can't think of a reason not to be. All right, I think we're going to call Billy here in a moment. We'll get Billy on the line. We'll get his thoughts on NFL. We'll get Billy's thoughts on the coaching changes at A&M. Well, not coaching changes, the newest addition to the A&M defensive staff. We'll talk about the wide receiver room. We'll talk some college football playoffs with him as well, just to see how it all ended up for him, because I don't think he's been on the show since the game happened. So we'll talk to Billy about that. As for A&M against Texas, as we talk about this basketball game, a couple things that we absolutely need to see. The rebounding, we know that's going to happen. I think it was only, I might be wrong here, but I think the only time A&M, maybe it's been one other time, but there's been only a handful of times, not even, 2 times I think this year that A&M hasn't won the battle of the offensive rebounds, right? So that's going to be a staple in what they do, because that's how they do things, right? But who's going to be the other? I can't guarantee that Wade's going to be back, right? But if you have three guys that you can count on in this game against Texas, who are those 3? I'm assuming Wade's going to give you double digits. I'm assuming Zerk's going to give you double digits. And I'm assuming that Pharrell Payne's going to give you double digits. So let's just say that happens, right? So those are what we see. Those guys in double digits, 10, 12 points. If Manny Obaseki continues playing like we saw in the second half of the game, there. Now we're changing the story, right? Because I think we all expect for this team to be significantly better shooting-wise. The game against Ole Miss obviously was not what we wanted and what I expected from an offensive standpoint until it was. Because, look, when you're watching that game, there's no way that you thought an 11-2 run was possible. There was a point with about 3 minutes left, like, oh, in my mind, I even think I said it to my wife, Elizabeth, on the side. I was like, in my mind, I was like, I know this team comes back all the time, but I don't know how they're going to do it now. And what they did was they played amazing defense down the stretch, and they got in Ole Miss's head. They got in their head. It goes back to the analogy we've been talking about, the jabs, but it's beyond that. It's just the constant pressure that A&M provides. And to be able to sustain it and then play at your best at the very end, you better be a top 5 team. So A&M, when they get those opportunities, they didn't just get those opportunities, they had to seize those moments. The fact that they were able to seize it is why they were able to capitalize on great defense, because the great defense is there all game long. I feel like it's been a year since I've seen this gentleman. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to introduce to you Billy Liucci here on TexAgs Live.
100 days have made Nuño older.
Pardon?
Since the last time that he saw my pretty face.
How are you, Billy?
I'm good. I've missed you.
I missed you.
But I did want to make you tap dance and panic a little bit today without me.
Yeah. Well, I was actually planning on doing
hair
it.
Looks good. You got a fresh cut.
No, it's been about a week, but I'm growing the top out again. You know, I go through these phases. Longer top.
I think you should grow a pompadour.
I've actually thought about that.
A poofy top.
Poofy top?
Why you still got it? I saw a thing saying, why does Billy wear a hat? He doesn't have hair. Yes, I do.
Billy's got a lot of hair, folks.
Plenty of hair.
What do you think about like a samurai
They
look?
think I'm like George Costanza under here.
No, you're definitely not George. What do you think about a samurai look for me? A little man bun samurai look.
I think the problem with that is you go into character.
Yeah.
Start reading about the samurais and probably
the Bushido Code. I've already started reading about it.
a knockoff sword.
I'm not lying. There's a thing called the Bushido Code. I'm reading about it. Okay. Yeah. See, so now we're on the same path right now.
I think you need to get into some kind of battle, like actual physical combat.
I would get my ASS kicked.
Maybe not.
I think so.
Handpick somebody.
Luke.
You'd win.
Yeah.
Although I'll tell you what, you might have a mob coming after you.
He's got a fan base now.
He's got a following because of his Twitter.
He's a TikTok Twitter guy.
Oh, he's a TikToker?
I'm assuming he's just that age group.
I didn't know he's a TikToker. But, like, here's the deal with Luke. He's kicking ass.
He's doing great, isn't he?
And, Bronny and Zane might want to take notes on the way this guy's covering. They might want to carry that over to baseball. I need somebody, maybe it'll be Luke this fall in football, to carry the Twitter like Luke. And his content's been great, too.
He's great.
And I tasked him. Said you want to cover A&M basketball, you can have your own podcast, but you need to get guests. I'm looking.
He's killing it.
He's got BJ Holmes. Yep. He's getting great guests. And no, what Luke's doing, I freaking love it. And I
you're
love
not one
it.
to give a compliment.
And I love it because he's a volume. You have a volume shooter. He is a volume tweeter.
Yeah, he is.
But it is 96% of it is high quality, informative tweets. And we got that, we got that subscription to all the different ranking systems and stuff. And I read it and I'm learning about where A&M's at. Unlike y'all the other day that spent 5 minutes, you and OB, wrestling with it. It was like mankind's greatest battle was you and Olin trying to figure out what quad 1A.
I thought I said it right.
You did, and then he pulled you off of
he
it,
did.
And then he's just like, well, you were like, what was Ole Miss rank? He's like, I don't know. And I'm like, what are the listeners dialing in for to hear people just sitting here going, I don't know. Do you know? I don't know.
But I knew.
Do you know?
And then I was talked off.
Y'all were like, maybe Luke's listening right now.
I did say that.
It was wild.
But I thought I was right.
You
Quad
were
1A,
right.
yes.
You were right.
I just didn't know where the number cut off.
Yeah.
And I guess it was 30.
Yeah, you were right. And then things just spiraled.
That's what happens.
I know.
So, can I ask, because you...
And I need to do better with names, too. You know, like of other, you know, the opponents and stuff. And say, oh, that defensive end or that guy from Houston, you know, that's out of control.
I'm going to ask you this because I think you usually are good about telling me or OB, like, where we're right or we're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Was I pessimistic after the win against Ole
I
Miss?
saw you got your own thread, huh?
Yeah. What do you think?
David Nuño, under attack.
But typically you'll call me, like, you'll be like, hey, you know, think about it like this.
Well,
and you didn't call me, so.
No, I just thought, I was listening. I just kind of laugh because it's easier to do when you win. But I'm also like, I do think to assume like, oh, this, because I get a lot of this. This is what I've heard a lot of since last week or since the Ole Miss game. I've heard a lot of, well, that's not going to play in March.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that I'm convinced won't play in March is missed free throws. Because I saw that story and how it ended last year against U of H. So that part I have to see them get better at. But, I mean, I don't think you can watch this team and go, well, they're not a good shooting team, because they're not. They were at the end of last year, and they weren't all year. And then at the end of last year, you know, we talk about it a lot. It was Manny, but it was, you know, Boots started hitting some more.
Mm-hmm.
Wade was unconscious. Remember down the stretch, and that's why a lot of it started with this Ole Miss game last year on the road. But they start firing. Like, oh, Nebraska, all they do is shoot and kill, and that A&M lights out. Against Kentucky with Shepard and all those guys. Yep. How do you keep up? They shot the lights out against Kentucky. Remember in the SEC tournament, I think they might have scored 100 against Kentucky. They beat the brakes off of, or they didn't beat the brakes, but they built like a 20-point lead against Ole Miss. And then they, even against Florida, the game they lost was like both teams were in the 90s. Like, I think 90s, actually. It was high 80s or 90s. So, I mean, to say it won't play, and the other thing I don't think that factors in is like how far along is Wade in terms of back from his injury, but even more specifically,
basketball shape.
Just basketball shape and in the flow, and you've inserted him back in. So I think it's presumptuous to just assume that it won't work. Because say they shot like crap, and a lot of times they shoot like crap from three. The free throws, again, that's your ticket out.
Yep.
Okay, so I won't come off of that. And they did do a good job the other day. They're 7 of 9 in a game that they won by 1. If they'd done their usual, like, 4 out of 9, you lose that basketball game. But they didn't play well, but they guard like hell. They definitely wear teams down over the course of a game. I think it was Nate Oates that kind of said it after they played A&M. He had said, man, the next game, a lot of teams, I forget what other team he was talking about, where they grind on you and they wear you down in the next, U of H, which is, to me, the ultimate compliment.
Heck yeah, from Kelvin Sampson's teams.
And Nate Oates said that, and he said the same effect when you play A&M. He was kind of explaining the loss to Ole Miss. A&M wears on you. Usually that'll catch up during a game. Sometimes there might be a one-game lag. It was like Arkansas and Coach Sumlin used to say after Brett Bielema. They didn't have the best record, but they physically would run the ball and wear you down, and guys would get banged up and injured. Over the course of the game, they wear on you. And it's unique. It's different. And I do think that part of it plays in March, the rebounding, the extra shots. I mean, I got the feeling you guys, and I heard other people were trying to debate A&M, I think it was the Field of 68, trying to debate A&M as a Final Four team. And they're saying, well, I don't think they, and I'm like, yeah, like, they're not a top 5 basketball team. If you're picking like I did see somebody pick them to go. You know, if they play their way into a high enough seed where their first game, they're just superior to the opponent.
If they're a 3 seed?
You're talking about them winning 2 games back to back. to go further than any. I'm saying if they get a nice first round, you're talking about them winning 2 games to go further than any A&M team's ever gone. And I do think they can do that. So, like, maybe one of the 2 games, Ole Miss is going to be in that tournament. They might be a second weekend team. They're kind of like A&M where you just don't quite know. But that's a tournament team. They went on the road to a packed house where they hadn't lost all year. They were pretty hungry after losing a rivalry game the week before. Their fans turned out. The place was loud. It's small. And they won. They won a tournament game on the road. And they did it not playing well. And they did it with Wade Wade and Zurich made 5 shots between them? Yeah, they made 5 shots between them. And they won that game. To me, that is a team that advances because that is exactly the kind of game you play. And there will be games. And so maybe they beat a team that they should beat. And then they win a game like that where they just have to dog and claw. And then maybe you play enough and it comes together in the shooting, because it won't do it consistently.
So my frustration, and also the thing that I celebrate too, but I'll start off with where I'm frustrated is because you mentioned how we've seen the game, how they've lost the game with missing free throws in the tournament, right?
Yep.
I've also seen them in the tournament lose when they shoot too many threes. And that's where I get a little worried. That being said, the thing that you pointed out is why they will wear on you and they will wear on you. And that's why an 11-2 run at the end of a game is possible. That's why these double-digit deficits, and basketball is a different game where that's why I have faith that they can get it done.
David, I would love for this team to shoot better. I don't understand why. There's just not somebody out there that can also defend and dead-eye shoot. But I would love for them to shoot better. I think they will at times this year because I've seen it in the last couple of years where at the right times, or maybe it's when Auburn comes in here or Tennessee. A lot of people thought they'd lose this game. I could have certainly seen it. To me, a 1-1 week
would have been good.
I was looking at this week going, man, there's a real danger zone of an 0-2 week as Wade keeps getting assimilated. Ole Miss is really good, and they've got Dia in there, and I thought they're a tough. They guard they'll guard you and get after you. They attack they had wide open looks from 3 a lot, and they didn't shoot well.
Yep,
and that was that. I mean, they made 11, but they missed 25. That was a dangerous game. I think most around college basketball would have thought, hey, this is probably one where Ole Miss wins because they're the home team.
Mm-hmm.
They went and got that one. You're going to Texas to play a really talented team. And look, I remember Kaluma at Kansas State, Trey Johnson, you guys talked about this morning. He's a lottery pick. You remember Tremont Mark from U
of H and
Arkansas. He beat A&M, was it last year? Yeah, last year with that layup. And then Jordan Pope's playing really well. That basketball team, when they came in here, they were untested and really not very good. In the last 3 games, what have they done? They beat Oklahoma in Norman. They lost at Florida. And then they beat a ranked Missouri team at home where they were up 10. And then Missouri came back and they pulled away again. Texas is playing much better. If you go 2-0 this week, that would be one of the best weeks in college basketball by anybody. And I don't know, obviously, what everyone else is playing, but if A&M wins on the road at Ole Miss and on the road in Austin, I will put that week up against what anyone else does in college basketball. I mean, I'm sure there's somebody better that will be one of the best weeks in the country, and you have a chance to do that. And I heard the Texter do that whole thing. They hadn't won in 38 years, swept them or whatever. They don't have to sweep them now. They have to win one game. They have to beat them, outplay them in 40 minutes. So you're not going there to win 2. You're going there to win 1. I do think it's going to be a really tough game.
They're playing well.
They're going to have a hard time with this one. But I mean, look, again, the game before Oklahoma, actually, they lost tough ones to Tennessee and Auburn. I think both of those were they were both at home. So
Yeah.
they're
good at home.
Doing some good things at home. It'll take A&M's A game. They're going to have to hit shots and they're going to have to make free throws because I don't think defense and rebounding and grit wins you this one Saturday. And it's just I'm just telling you, like, yeah, if they shot better, and if they had like a Josh Carter sitting out there or a Chris Middleton that can just fill it up, or they had those guys and somebody like a BJ Holmes that in any game can get you 4, 5, 3. But you know what they are then? Then that's like a Final Four team that started the preseason ranked in the top 5 and stays there. They're not there. No one's saying they're there. But what I'm saying is in every NCAA tournament, there are teams that that look like really tough outs. And Texas A&M is going to be one of those teams. Like, teams don't want to see you in their bracket. I talked to people at U of H last year that after that game were like, that when as soon as the bracket came out, they knew that they were going to play A&M, as in the Aggies weren't going to lose to Nebraska, and they knew that was like a real risk of their season ending because of the way really both those teams play.
They're such a fun team that even with most metrics pointing at getting blown out, they won a game on the road. So that's the kind of team that they are.
Well, and they were down 9 pretty damn late, under 4 minutes at one point. They were down 9, 7 or 9. I think it was 9. I think it was 7. They made a layup and an and one and missed it. But that's a big time win. I mean, what's their best win of the year so far? Purdue, technically neutral, right? I think that's their best win. I think this is their second best win.
It's a great win.
They beat Texas at home. They beat OU on the road. I think Ole Miss, not only by all the metrics, is better than OU, but you watch them play. This is a tournament Ole Miss team. This is a really good Ole Miss team they went and beat. And they went on the road and beat Ole Miss and did not play their A game in almost any area, in my opinion. And it was Manny and Payne in the second half. It could be Wade and Zurich in the first half. It could be Coleman. It could be Solo and Andy one game. It could be Hefner one game hitting threes. Like, there's so much. There's so much they can do that I think this is I wish they shot better.
Yeah.
I would feel like, damn, this team could make it to San Antonio. They don't, but I think I don't think you look at this team and go, man, that type of performance gets you beat in March.
So Joe Lenardi just came out with this latest article. Luke sent it to me. So we'll hit a break. I'll come back and read you a little snippet about A&M.
Okay.
We'll do that on the other side. Right now we're talking Costa Vida. That's the place to go when you want fresh Mex. The food is delicious. It's fresh Mexican food done the right way, where every ingredient matters. Make sure you say hi to Holly when you go there. It's a great place to go for breakfast and have your morning meeting. You can get your breakfast tacos, you can get your coffee, and just kind of start your day the right way. And if you want to stay throughout the day, make that your office, you can, because the food all day is fantastic. The quesadillas, the tortillas, soup, you name it. Whatever you're looking for, they have some awesome signature dishes. And they also have alcohol there. You can get your bottled beer, your pina coladas, your sangria, your margaritas, you name it. They're going to take great care of you. And they have a student discount. They have awesome food. And as always, Aggie owned and operated. 4501 Mills Park Circle in College Station. Again, 4501 Mills Park Circle in South College Station. It is Costa Vida. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Billy's here with us. I'm going to read the text from Luke. Actually, it's a Joe Lenardi piece. It says, it's getting to be that time of the season when total strangers walk up and ask you, who's in your Final Four? And while it's a fool's errand to back any team without knowing its actual bracket path, we can often spot the type of team that most likely would make a run, yada, yada, yada. 41. Is this the spirit that we present Texas A&M as a serious candidate for your consideration? The Aggies check a bunch of Final Four boxes. They are consistently good and tough defensively. They're experienced with a core including 8 seniors. They will have been tested by truly great competition, and even if they finish out of the top 4 of the SEC and they do the things that win close games, first in the nation on offensive rebounding, top 25 and getting to the foul line, Buzz Williams is a coach who has taken other schools to the second weekend. And it seems plausible, if not probable, that Williams will make the third weekend at some point in his career. The Aggies are one of the only 3 teams joining Auburn and Alabama with double-digit wins against Q1, Q2 teams already. If you're looking for a Final Four type resume, that's not a bad place to start.
Okay. That's Joe Lenardi, right?
Yep.
I would say these things. Yeah, we've talked like experience. 2 scoring guards. And again, like they didn't shoot well the other night and they still won.
Yep.
Because they defend and they rebound and they believe. And even though like Manny has not shot well this year at all. And the other night he hit 2 threes. He hit a little fadeaway in the paint. That was a nice shot. Like he was feeling it. Hopefully that keeps going. And he just started it earlier this year. Then they would look a lot more like a Final Four team to me. Because that would be a lot of offense coming from Manny. He can get fouled at will. He can get to the rack, and if he's shooting good from the outside, he's usually shooting good from the free throw stripe. So they rebound, they defend, they believe. They've got 2 veteran scoring guards. They went from being snubbed from the tournament to taking a shocking first round loss to blowing a team out in the first round that was supposed to be good to almost knocking off a 1 seed, taking them to overtime. This team believes. They've come from behind several times this year. They've fought through, you guys were talking this morning, more negativity from you both. Bad first halves, Texas, OU, LSU, Ole Miss. They've won all 4 of them.
Yep.
I'd prefer the alternative, right? And yes, if you play bad first halves against good teams, you're not going to win. If you play bad first halves, you're putting yourself at risk for a loss you don't need to take in this competitive. I get all that. But the reality is I just named 4 just right off the top of my head in conference that all 4 conference wins, they've struggled in the first half. So I just think this team, with the experience it's got, they've been to what? In the last 3 SEC tournaments, in that neutral court atmosphere, neutral court against Kentucky, which was far from neutral, they've won. They've gone to the finals, semifinals. And then he mentioned Buzz. Like, Buzz knows how to get teams there. It's a big part of why you hired him here. He took Virginia Tech to the second weekend multiple times. He took Marquette to an Elite 8. Like, he gets it. The players, I think, get it. But, yeah, they play a style where they are susceptible to playing a bad half or a bad 10 minutes of basketball where they hardly score anything. And, yes, that can end your season like that. But, like, do the strengths versus weaknesses. And yeah, that's why they could get knocked out. Free throws are why they could get knocked out. But let's not forget all the reasons why they could advance.
So I want you to understand where some of my thinking comes from. Not to compare.
I agree with your whole thought. I know. Like, I get
you get it. Yeah. But you also see it. But, like, you should not cross sports in thinking, right? But, like, with A&M football, when they were 7-1, there were things that I identified on the show that I was worried about, that you worried about, right? And then I think those things, it's hard for me to enjoy the moment because I think about those things. That's just how my brain works. Like, man, we're not really good tackling. You can't do that against certain teams. And by the way, they got away with it. And they beat some A&M football beat some teams that were really good, and then after they lost to A&M, they were like, they weren't as good anymore, right?
Yeah.
So there is that. So I see that. But I also know the word grit that we keep using with this team, they do have it. And that's why they always have a knockout chance against opponents.
Yeah, and I think they got way more than grit. I think rebounding is a talent. Physicality goes beyond grit. I think guard play, and I know those guys will turn it over. Like early in that game, I thought Zurich was turning it over way too much. So was Wade. But a lot of teams would trade guards for those two guys. Let's be honest. And then they got an X factor, I believe, in Manny. I think the Solo, Andy, Pharrell Payne, Henry Coleman line. The teams that worry me, like if they were to get deeper, are like Bama's. Like it's a team that can get up and down and shoot like Kentucky. Because you saw what it took for A&M beat Kentucky. They beat them twice last year.
Yeah,
they beat them at Reed, and then to beat them, they were shooting lights out in Nashville. And that was an uncommon offensive performance from the Aggies. To keep up with Florida, they shot the lights out and built that huge, I think it was an 18-point first half lead. That's not a style that's going to be there consistently.
Right.
Again, it will be there sometimes. But what worries me are like the teams like a Bama that can really negate, I don't know why I said negate, that can negate that front court and that rebounding.
Yeah.
Because Bama was so big. Remember, they got in all that foul trouble, and it didn't matter. They just kept trotting out guys that were like 6'10" to 7 foot, it felt like. And they had, it was like a never-ending assembly line of them. And that's the kind of team. But again, like that's a Final Four team probably. They just were in one, and they have a great chance to go again in Bama. So that's an outlier. I do want to see this A&M team win at least one. I mean, I'd love for them to win more, but at least one out of – they lost to Kentucky and they lost to Bama. Both without Wade. Okay, and they took Bama really down to the wire. Yep. And Kentucky was on the road at Rupp, but both without Wade. So it's not even apples to apples. But I want to see them take down one at least of Florida, who's really good at home, Tennessee and Auburn, who are coming to Reed. Like, beat one of those big dogs that's the caliber of team you're probably going to have to clip to advance further in March than people expecting, to be one of those Cinderella-looking teams as it goes. So I want to, because last year they did it
right
multiple times. They blasted Tennessee here. They beat Kentucky in Nashville. I want to see the year before they beat #1 Alabama at home. I want to see them do that again this year going into the postseason, because that's what it's going to. You want to see that they can go beat the big dog. But the big dog this weekend is in Burnt Orange. They're going to Austin again, a team that's lost by 5 to Auburn at home, lost by 4 to Tennessee at home. That's #1 in the net, #4 in the net. They went and beat Oklahoma, a top 50 net win on the road, and they lost to Florida. They got blown out there.
Yeah.
That was competitive, I think, for about a half. And then they came home and they beat #26 in the net, Mizzou. They're playing a lot better basketball since the Aggies rolled them in that second half.
All right, we probably will go a little long today on TexAgs, so make sure you keep it on TexAgs.com and on our YouTube page. Right now we're talking about Rollo Insurance. The difference is real. They're an independent insurance company built around educating you on exactly what you're paying for. They do the shopping for you so that you can accomplish all of your insurance goals. They can write any form of insurance to anyone, and they've got 60 offices in the great state of Texas, but their headquarters is right here on Highway 6. You got to go check it out. Jason and Jackson Rollo do an amazing job. And you'll see them all around town supporting Aggie athletics, of course, Aggie football, you name it. They go to all the big events, but they are part of this community. Call them up at 888-44-ROLLO or go to rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. Again, that number, 888-44-ROLLO or rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs.
There was some actual news.
And we are back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Billy Liucci, David Nuño here with you on a Friday. Billy, I know we got some topics you want to throw out at me. But before we do that, can I ask you a football question?
Of course.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's talk a little bit about Lyle Hemphill, who's now going to be a defensive assistant on A&M's defense. I know you had a post about it, but I don't think we talked on the radio about it at all.
Interesting. I broke that one, and it's a lot of
people taking credit for it.
People not giving credit, jumping in like 60 seconds later. That's fine with the Twitter folks, but you would think like actual journalists.
Reporters are doing it too?
Yeah, a lot of them were, and a lot of them are ones that I know listen. It's just like, what the hell, man?
Aggie reporters or
just in general?
In general.
I do think at least an Aggie reporter, but like just give credit where it's due. That's all. You want it when you break stuff, so return the favor.
Yeah.
I mean, I do, and there are links people will go to like credit a national report that came out like, I mean, it's minimal amount of time, but 3 minutes later means I broke it. We broke it. Just give the credit. Don't give the credit to someone else. And some people think that's like me whining. No, that's me calling people out. It just like, you try doing something in your field and having someone not credit. You know, it's just not the way it should work. So whatever. I mean, we can play that game too. I'd prefer not to though. We could though, I guess. We start just doing it and we do it to a larger audience with a bigger megaphone. So they're the ones that suffer more than us because they break a story, they can have their name and outlet credited to a much larger group of people. But
I've heard you credit BZ and others before.
Of course. And so anyway, that was just something that those listening need to hear. Because I don't have the time in my day to deal with you directly, so here it is. If you think I'm wrong, then correct me. But I read it, I saw it. Anyway, Hemphill was... so I initially just posted the addition and quickly was working to get that written up of what it really means. Because it certainly would lend to confusion when you hire a sitting defensive coordinator at James Madison. Like Jay Bateman, he has a long history with Mike Elko.
Mm-hmm.
Elko, that was his first hire when he was D coordinator at Hofstra years ago. It was like 2002 or 3. Then hired him. He was at Wake after Elko. He was the DC when Elko left for Notre Dame. And then Elko hired him at Duke. And then he became the co-DC in his second year there, worked with nickels and I believe safeties. So his specialty is the back end of the defense. Okay? So he's not being brought in as the DC. Jay Bateman's title is not changing. But what I think, the way this is going to play, I don't think, this is it. Mike Elko said it after that USC game, and he was pretty emphatic. And he had, I said this, you can't go out there after that game in that moment of frustration. You either have to rein it in or you make a grandiose statement that basically, I'm paraphrasing, this is unacceptable. It's never going to happen again on my watch. And not necessarily that game, but just the way the season unfolded, the way they played, the way they covered. You can't say that and then not make significant changes. Well, everyone assumed a significant change was going to be changing D coordinator because that's the most significant thing you could do. We had a lot of Twitter insiders on social media assuring us that was happening. We had some people in the regular media trying to say that was happening. I think Elko, I said this about a month ago, he was wrestling with the decision on which direction he wanted to go. And one of the options was to get more hands-on and to really day-to-day in game run the defense, and I think that's what you're going to see. It's going to be Mike Elko is going to get his hands dirty, for lack of a better phrase. He's going to run and call the defense.
Yeah,
and that is going to allow Lyle Hemphill is coming in as a guy that is very well versed in the way Elko wants to run his coverages, both man and zone, where he wants to play the safeties, yada, 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 all of those things, that he is going to be an extension of Mike Elko. Jay Bateman, what his specialty, what he is best at, is setting the front and the run fits and the front seven and the blitzes and the twists and stunts and all that stuff. That's Jay Bateman's specialty. So now he can focus on that and not the in-game play calling. Hemphill can focus on the back side with Ish Aristide and Jordan Peterson there as well. And I'm sure one of them will coach nickels and one safeties and one corners. I don't know this, but maybe Hemphill's nickel, because that's what he had been doing, and that'll allow you see the breakdown now. And I think that's so that is, to me, that's not hiring a new DC, but that's a pretty significant overhaul. You've essentially added whatever degree more of Mike Elko, and then you brought in a new guy who specializes in coverages in Elko's scheme and has been familiar with it for a long time.
Yeah,
kind of like Santucci was, and then you've got Bateman now being able to focus on what he does best. So I think it's a pretty significant overhaul. Now, with the way they finished the year, TBD on how well it works, but I think that's, again, significant change on the defensive side of the ball for Elko and his staff.
All right, we're going to hit a break here because we have to, and we'll come back with another segment. We'll keep it a little bit long on YouTube and on TexAgs.com. You're listening to TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Final segment of the program, TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. We go back to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center, Maria Griglione. Topics extraordinaire. What do you have for us?
A lot of people are asking about this in the YouTube chat. Kurt Inrod, anyone else see the rumors about Micah Hudson going back to Tech? I don't know if it's true, but they seem to believe it.
Yeah, I think there's enough smoke on that. And here's the deal. I'm not going to just jump in on the rumor side, but I will say this. Once he stepped away, I sat here that day and said, yeah, there's a chance he could make his way back. But I think I sat here and told you that it wasn't, like, as we sat there, it wasn't something that I was necessarily expecting. It felt different. If he goes to Tech, I think you would raise an eyebrow as to kind of the reasons why. Did you just step away because you didn't have a good experience here and we're going straight back? You just wanted to run back to where you came from, which, again, that's your own decision. In college football today, if you can do it, do what makes you happy, because if it was the other way, A&M fans, if it was a player that A&M want, like had Walter Nolan done that last year, everybody would have been fine with. Not everybody, most people would have been fine with it. We've grown accustomed to the wishy-washiness. No reason to deceive if that ended up being true. But then again, if it's a means to an end, and the end is you want to go back to Lubbock, then that's fine as well. Or maybe it's a situation where the grass wasn't greener in his mind, and it's like, man, this is what's making me not feel good about what I did. Even just kind of like I shouldn't have left. And that's, I think you see that coaches do that, and once they do it and contracts are signed, they can't go back. But I've known more than one coach that has gone somewhere and looked back and said, damn, I left something special. That happens in the coaching world a lot.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't fault the kid if he did it. It's like, look out for number one. I wish the days weren't like that. And it was like, but if he never really had a team here, there was nothing, it was just kind of like, so there's enough smoke that I think it would be like, it feels like it will be kind of up to Joey McGuire and Tech if they would take him back after that. Because, see, to me as a coach, I might be sitting there going, man, because they didn't seem like they were really worried about him leaving the first time. And so there has to be reasons to that. I'll say this. If he goes back to Tech, and I'm sure they've already started to, and I hope Aggies have a lot of screenshots of what those Tech fans were saying about Micah Hudson when he left. Because there's a lot of receipts. There's a lot of bookmarks that I think a lot of Aggies probably have.
Yeah.
Because I'm on at least one group chat where everybody's talking about it, and I'm sure they went and pulled those before the Red Raiders were able to delete them. It's why you can't go crazy on these things. Just like today, I don't think Micah Hudson's going to end up staying back at A&M, but he could. So, like, why go there? And just like Evan Stewart, he left. Why go there? Noah Thomas left. Why go there? Just let them go, and appreciate the ones that stay.
Yeah.
And go try to get players that are better. Go try to get a better receiver, one that's proven more. Well, they did that with Concepcion and with Craver. That doesn't mean Micah can't end up better than both those guys, but they went out and got proven college receivers, one in the SEC, one who's done it for multiple years. Like, you need another receiver, go get somebody that's done more. Go get Carnell Tate if he goes in from Ohio State. That's one of the topics I was going to. So, wrapping up with Micah Hudson, I would be shocked if he ended up coming back to A&M, and it sounds like that's a Texas Tech decision. But we'll see. As soon as I find out, like, hey, that the door's closed on A&M one way or another, we'll say that. But I mentioned Carnell Tate.
Yeah.
One of the things one of the notes that you've got, right, is the Ohio State receivers, where they're saying Smith and Tate are both, like, Jeremiah Smith commanded like a $4.5 million NIL offer from somebody else. I know the guy's good. I don't know what schools would pay $5 million for a wide receiver, but I mean, if they're going to do one, he's the one. And Carnell Tate is a guy he's the guy I was talking about when I was talking about there were rumors that a couple players in that national title game would be looking elsewhere, like higher profile guys. And Tate, isn't their number one receiver? He made some big plays in that national title game. He is a wide receiver one.
He's a one
at a real school. I look at the Detroit Lions with like Jamison Williams, who left Ohio State for Bama and became a superstar and a top 10 pick. Carnell Tate is really, really good. If he went in the portal, there's actually no comparing him and Micah Hudson. But A&M would be far from a lock to get him. I just would expect the Aggies to be involved.
I'm reading online right now, Ohio State fighting off Texas and Oregon to keep its next future first rounder in Carnell Tate.
Yeah, Texas will be in it, A&M will be in it, and Oregon is, I believe his girlfriend, I think this is right, his girlfriend plays soccer or softball at Oregon. So that would be, if you're going like smart money, although Texas, I think, and I was kind of right about it, but I wasn't. Bolden, Bond. I think Bolden was way more so as a return specialist, but Bolden, Bond, and Golden, I was saying they're going to have a hard time replacing Worthy, Whittington, and Jatavian Sanders, who was the other pass catcher for them a year ago. That was I thought was really good. But anyway, they're losing a lot. They're going to have a hard. A.D. Mitchell. They did a good job replacing, but mainly like Golden was insane, and Gunnar Helm, I think, exceeded all expectations. Which maybe, just maybe, certain tight end that by the name of Nyblack could have been that guy for them this year, but they'll never know. But all those receivers, I caught hell because I said they're going to have a hard time, and they did. They replaced them fine. I'll say it again. They're losing a lot. They're losing a hell of a lot in Golden, in Bond. I think Bolden's out of eligibility. I think. I haven't checked that. I believe he is. That's a ton to be losing. So I don't think on campus is how they replace them. I think they Moore and Wingo certainly are a great start, but I think they're also and the 2 5-star signees. But I still think Sark and them go out and go after one more, and Carnell Tate will certainly be the type of guy that fits the profile that Texas will throw a bag at. So I think A&M will be in that mix as well. We'll see if he goes in, and Ohio State's going to be telling him all the reasons not to go. And man, they should have a lot of momentum being the defending national champ.
Well, worrying's not the right word. What I think about is
a lot of worrying.
I do a lot of worrying, but here's what I think. On December the 8th, we're thinking you have Noah Thomas and Micah Hudson along with all these other pieces, right? Mm-hmm. And now 2 of those guys are not here. I
think I'm going to be real with you. Like, Noah Thomas is a much bigger concern.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Like, Micah Hudson's ceiling is through the roof. But he had, and this is what we said, like, it was a big addition because of what he could be. It was not the biggest addition for this fall. When at the time you had Noah Thomas, and then very shortly after that, I think even a day later, you added Craver. And when you added Concepcion, and you've got Terry Bussey, they're excited about Bethel Roman and Isaiah Williams. Like, Micah would have to fight past people.
Right.
Does he have the desire and the wherewithal to do that? A lot of the recent actions would indicate no. But talent-wise, he certainly can. And I think he's, from all accounts, a good kid that's if he put it all together and was fully committed and figured it out, he could certainly be that guy. And that might be what happens in Lubbock now.
Yeah.
But to say, like, man, you lost an instant impact guy, I think that's Concepcion and Craver. I think Hudson has the highest upside. It might have been a year from now. He certainly could have helped you this year. But the real loss was Noah. And because I think Noah, with his height and size and experience within the system, being an Aggie, like that is we'll probably look back at that and say that is the biggest off-season loss for this team.
Yeah.
Right now, it's the only big off-season loss that wasn't NFL related.
Do we want to get into some of the other topics before we go?
Sure.
You got a couple you want to throw at us? And if you guys need to leave, by the way, you can leave.
Pete Carroll to the NFL.
Yeah, Pete Carroll and the Raiders. You have Bregman, Aaron Glenn, Terrion Arnold.
Okay. Terrion Arnold, we were just talking about.
He's the dude who fell down the
Jameson, Terrion Arnold. The poor Lions and Dan. Like, the season ends, he loses both coordinators. I think, contrary to what people think, I think he'll be fine there. I've had conversations years ago with Dan about potential staff stuff, and this is when he was at the Saints. And I think his NFL net has expanded so much since he got to Detroit. And he wanted Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson. Like, those were the guys. And he told me long before he left that, like, when he was in New Orleans with Aaron Glenn, like, AG will be a D coordinator for a short period of time because he's going to be a head coach really quickly. And I thought, 2 years ago, he was saying he's ready. So he knew that was short term. And then Ben Johnson, he's lucky to have him another year, which is why you really felt like, damn, they need to get it this year. That was so perfect that you were able to hold on to him. But they've held on to all those players on both sides of the ball. They're getting them all back on defense, where it was such an issue with the injuries. His net of candidates, I can imagine if it started here, it's like this.
It's
now.
big, yeah.
Just because of people
and now
watch,
people want to
go there, and the talent that they've put on display on both sides of the ball. So, but Terrion Arnold, yeah, they literally are done with the season. You got your damn DBs falling down the steps. They can't even stay healthy at home. So it was one of those years for Detroit. Pete Carroll, L.A. Raiders, sounds like since we've been on air, that's something that's happening. That's pretty wild.
Las Vegas.
LV Raiders. Las Vegas Raiders. I like that. I like Pete Carroll. It's not L.A., like when he was at USC, but Pete Carroll in Vegas.
It makes sense.
I bet he's just going to be dining at all the nice restaurants.
Going to all the shows.
Going to some of the off the strip restaurants.
Yeah.
You might spot him in there. Going to the show, like Tom Brady, I think, was kind of the guy that orchestrated that. It's going to be fun to watch, like what Brady does in this part of his career, and then bring back a guy like Pete Carroll who can obviously coach and talk about somebody that can put together a staff. So I like that. I like that one. That's a fit to me.
And then Bregman, Astros are still in the mix somehow. The Tigers are, I think, the leading candidate for him.
Yeah, Detroit. Interesting.
A.J. Hinch.
A.J. Hinch, his boy.
I love A.J.
My man, sweet Pete Warden up there with the Tigers, too. You don't know him.
No.
He probably doesn't associate with your kind.
What's my kind? I want to know my kind.
Radio host. He's a pacifist. He's like, he doesn't get involved with like fighters, street fighters. Or
I don't really get involved with them either.
Training for street fights. So yeah, I think Bregman. I'm just so, I'll be honest, I'm so down on the Astros sustaining this thing.
Well, they've sustained it for a while.
No, it's been incredible what they've done.
Yeah.
And they were that close to being a real dynasty. Like a real one.
Yeah.
They're a Houston sports dynasty, and they're one of the better baseball. They've had one of the better baseball runs since I've been a fan of baseball. But they are probably a 3-2 lead squandered against the Rangers, and a Game 7 at home against the Nationals, away from, I think, what we would be calling a true dynasty. And because they would have beaten something in this coffee just got me. They would have beaten who was it, the D-backs.
Oh yeah,
they would have absolutely beaten the D-backs last year, 2 years ago, I guess now, and if they'd beat the Nationals, that would have been 4 World Series championships in 7 years.
They had the Nationals one.
Yeah,
they had.
So to me, like that's a dynasty.
Yeah,
what they did doesn't qualify as a dynasty, but it sure has been a hell of a lot of fun. I think Bregman or not, I just don't see him recapturing it.
Yeah, Billy, thank you, sir.
All right,
we appreciate everybody. We'll
Aggies
see you.
And Longhorns tomorrow. Let's go.
Yep, we'll have it all on Monday. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.